When Nancy first started to go around right after 9/11, the very next day, which was September 12th, she came to our firehouse.
I was just helping the firehouses in my community, and over time we built friendships, and they asked if I would be able to help them develop a counseling place outside of the fire department.
And asked us if we needed anything.
At the time I had 5 friends that survived. Part went to the surviving firefighters and their families.
We lost 7 guys. We didn't know then and there that we lost them completely. We thought they were just trapped.
We were good that day, and what happened was we did our best, but at the same time we had the responsibility of the firefighters' families to take care of. For a lot of us, including myself, that was very stressful.
I've seen brothers come in here that really need help, and within a few months leave here in way better condition than when they first came in.
That time in my life, I was in a really bad spot. I was in a dark spot in my life that I didn't think, if I didn't change the way I was living, I couldn't tell you what I was going to do. I had to have something.
Guys were feeling down, and they felt like they couldn't help anybody. Meanwhile, they had to help themselves first. You can't help anybody else unless you help yourself first. We've got counseling upstairs every day of the week, and if we have to, we'll go to see the person.
I needed this place.
When I came here, there were a lot of my kind in here, and we shared stories and what we did, and what we still continue doing because of Nancy.
I didn't understand the point of volunteering, and once you come here, you understand, and it becomes easy to do that.
Firefighters feel comfortable in a firehouse.
It also allows us to feel back at home again.
Firefighting is a difficult thing to explain to people. We look to go to fires only because when we go to fires, we save property and lives. Every fire, when you go to, there is some kind of post-traumatic syndrome. It's like a war. It's a war. It's a war against fire. It's the same thing that soldiers are going through.
The fact that they keep coming says that we are successful. I think because we are separated from the fire department and there's no trace, they can come for counseling and their families can come for counseling, and it doesn't end up in their records. I think that means a lot to firefighters.
Before the problem gets bigger, we like to solve it. And that's why they do the same thing. That's why they're coming in. They're coming in before the problem gets beyond their control.
Our formula was that if you get one firefighter on his or her feet, you're going to help 10 civilians, so that they're going to go out and help other people. So if you're helping one person, that's huge. We had over 700 active firefighters and over 1,200 retirees either lose their homes or have significant damage.
I was able to see military men in their bunks getting ready to go out and help.
And we set up bunk beds once this place was cleaned out. And we had 14 bunk beds set up, and they came in groups, and we sent them out into the field.
Firefighters from all over the world with a positive attitude coming here, feeling like this is their home, a home away from home, and putting in 100%. I mean, you can't buy those memories.
Now it's 13 years later, and we're still in existence. A lot of other organizations folded.
What we have here works, and the firefighters built it. As long as they need the help, I believe it's the public's responsibility, and I consider myself the public, to provide the help on their terms, and this place does that.
You just don't have a place for people to come that doesn't cost anything.
To me, this place is a blessing.
I need this place, and this place needs donations.
This place is a little part of me. The wording Friends of Firefighters, I think, are hand-picked.
Friends of Firefighters is awesome.
The words say it all.
Friends of Firefighters is phenomenal.
Every time I come in here, I see I see magic.
I think that for firefighters, Friends of Firefighters is home.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. I'm Kevin Smith. Welcome to the Sopranos family reunion, we should be calling it. And look who it is. It's absolute legend, Steve Buscemi. Steve, how are you?
Oh, good. I'm good, Kevin. How are you?
So damn good. It's an honor to be invited to this thing. I was going to watch it anyway. Mercifully, you guys called me. I got to be involved. So thank you for that. Before we jump into it, because there's so much to do, let's just talk about why Friends of Firefighters has been so important to you.
Well, first of all, I have to thank you for doing this because we were so excited when you agreed to host and having, a Jersey boy come on. It was just so appropriate, and we appreciate it. As some people may know, I used to be a firefighter in the early 80s with Engine 55. And I did that for about 4 years, but I was, still wanting to be an actor. And then I left. They thought I was crazy, and they were probably right. I always tried to keep in touch, but you lose touch. But on 9/11, that brought the whole firefighting community together, and I was able to reconnect with my company after that, and getting involved in some of the organizations and fundraisers that happened after that. And there were so many, and it was great, but not all of them were sort of, I don't know. Some of them seemed a little suspect until I met Nancy Carbone a few years later. I was introduced to her by Marion Fontana, who we met a little after 9/11. We lived a block away from each other. Marion lost her husband, Dave Fontana. And so, we became friends. She introduced me to Nancy. Nancy asked me if I could help out. And I've been doing that with them for how long, Nance? About the last 10 years or so or more?
10 or 11, yeah. Yeah, actually, 11 years.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, for Nancy Carbone. Nance, you and I spoke briefly today about Friends of Firefighters, but you said something to me that profoundly affected me, and it's something I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. We're doing today's fundraiser for Friends of Firefighters. I'd said something about it must be, tough in this time of year and with 2020 locking everything down. Nancy says it wasn't that tough. She says, but of course there are a lot more causes going on right now. But she said this thing profoundly affected me. She says, you help one firefighter, you're helping 10, 20, 30 other people. And that's what we're doing here today, man. We're just putting a little bit out there as we head into the holiday season, anything you can spare for the Friends of Firefighters, because a little bit for one firefighter goes a long way for the entire community. Nance, what kind of figure are, we can't say exactly, but what are we looking for today? Because I'll tell you right now, the donations have been happening since before we even started the program. We got a huge donation from Joe Paletto. He donated like $5,000. Mind bending right there. We're getting wonderful donations all up and down. Mike Vecchione, $100. Joseph Ponzi, $150. Audrey Catapano, $50. Catherine O'Leary, $20. So it doesn't matter what figure it is. If you can spare it, it's going a long way to helping some wonderful people out. What are we looking to raise today, though, Nance? What would be a good figure for us to hit?
I think any amount is most welcome. I think that they put out the number of 100,000, which is fantastic. But I will tell you that this is a very important service to the FDNY members and their families, whether they're active or retired. And I think what's important is to realize that whatever we get tonight is going to go right into helping the community. So I'm not putting a number on it. I'm grateful that everybody's here. I'm grateful for everyone watching, and I'm just happy to be here. and delighted for the organization because we do good work, and I'm glad to have this support. Very grateful.
But we would love to go way above 100 grand. We really want to because this, it's hard. And I know so many organizations have been hit hard because of the pandemic. We usually have a fundraiser, like a gala each year, and it's part fundraiser, part party for all the firefighters. And it's a lot of fun. This year, it's tough. So, the work that they're doing is just so important because of the pandemic. It started after 9/11, which was, very important. Like 9/11 showed us the need for that firefighters needed maybe therapy or counseling, but not only them, it's for their families. It's for retired firefighters too. And we're coming up on the 20th year reunion of 9/11, and I'm telling you, that is going to trigger a lot of people. People are going to, like a lot of firefighters and their loved ones are going to just live through that again. And then the other thing that we're constantly dealing with is the 9/11 cancers. I think the total of people who have died from cancer may even exceed the number of people who have died on that day. And that's not only just first responders. That's just, New York, it was just such a toxic zone then. So there's still a lot of work, that needs to be done. And the more money we can raise, the longer we can stretch it and just keep that, keep the firefighting community in good mental health. And I think that's so important.
Marion, Fontana, John, Sorrentino, welcome. You've been here as well. The organization, Friends of Firefighters, you guys have very close ties to. You come right from the firefighting community, correct?
I lost my husband on 9/11, and he had always told me it was a brotherhood, but I had no idea until after that date. And I met John, and I met a lot of firefighters, and it was a really difficult time. But I feel like one of the problems in the fire department was, even though they have a counseling unit, it's a very taboo thing to go to therapy, to ask for help. They don't like to ask for help. And I think Nancy filled a need that was really important. It's not just that she offers counseling, but she offers it in the environment of a firehouse. So Friends of Firefighters is a safe place. And I also know from watching a lot of guys retire through the years, they lose their identity. Being a firefighter is so important. It's so who they are. You can see Steve, after all these years, still identifies as a firefighter. So the retired part of it is that they can still go to the kitchen of a firehouse at Friends of Firefighters. And it just fills so many needs that it's so important for so many. And I'm just honored to be part of it because I know they need it. I know I needed it, and they were there for me. It was hard to ask for help even for me. I think we were all traumatized. We went to countless funerals and then watched them start to die of cancers, as Steve mentioned. And it's an ongoing need. It's not just 9/11. And now it's going to be COVID. And so it's just an ongoing need. They face more and more work, and they have to do more and more for our communities. And that's why we need to do more and more for them.
I mean, the amount of trauma that the average firefighter has to see in a week, like the average person won't see in many lifetimes. That type of person deserves somebody to go sit down and speak to unwind in a comfortable situation. There's no shame in ever talking to somebody. And it sounds like, Nancy, when we were talking about the organization today, it is, as Marion was saying, it's in an old firehouse. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's privately owned, and we rent the firehouse. And I know that it's made a difference. We had offices before, but this is different. When they come in, and in fact, it's important to note that over 400 firefighters over a 10-year period came and transformed it from what it went into private hands, so it didn't look like a firehouse anymore. And they came and they restored it back to a firehouse. So, some come, unfortunately, we just lost two of our dearest members. One was my mentor, Tony Catapano, and he died in May of 9/11 cancer. He was in the film that just showed. And the other is Billy Hodgins, who just passed away a few weeks ago. And they were the ones that showed me that if you build it, they will come. And it was that way. They need a place to go, and we were able to do that together. So people saying, Nancy, no, this was a huge group of people that put it together.
Let's get John up on stage. John, let them see true firefighter, man, so they can open up their wallets and whatnot. You there with us?
I am. Let me give you a brief history of the Friends of Firefighters. And so people out there donating, you're going to know where your money's going. The first week after 9/11, if in our firehouse anyway, and I'm sure all over the city, you were either at ground zero or you were back in your firehouse. And this went on 24/7 for weeks. So you could imagine the mental and physical toll it was taking on us. And during that first week, I happened to be in the firehouse, and Nancy Carbone, who I had never met before, just happened to come into the firehouse. At that time, there were dozens and dozens of people in the firehouse, family members, neighbors, asking what they could do to help us. And Nancy came up to me and she said, I'm just a housewife. I live in the neighborhood. How can I help you guys? What do you need? And historically, the fire department, we're a brotherhood, but we're very close knit. We're not, we help people. We're not used to asking for help. But at that particular time, all bets were off. So I said, Nancy, we were planning a funeral for one of the guys in my firehouse who passed away, and we needed help with a few things. And I said, can you do this? Can you do that? And sure enough, she got it done. She'd come back to me a few days later. What else do you need? What else do you need? And this just snowballed into her. No matter the silliest thing I asked her for, she came through. And then about a week or two later, I said, Nancy, you know what we really could use? We could use some counselors. I said, you got guys in here who are coming back from ground zero and they're exhausted. And then they're jumping on fire trucks, trying to answer calls. And it was just too much for some guys. So she went out and she found us therapists. She found us counselors. And we're actually having counseling sessions in the basement of the firehouse. We turned one of our study rooms into a private room where firemen, while they're on duty, we're getting therapy sessions. In the middle of a session, the bells would go off. These guys were jumping on a fire truck, fighting a fire. The session's over. They're going back to ground zero. This is what was going on after 9/11. And probably around Christmas time of that year, I just happened to, thinking out loud, I said to Nancy, you know, it would be good if guys had a separate place to go for these counseling sessions, because, it's kind of private, and to do it in the firehouse, there are better places to do it. And Nancy just took the ball with that. And next thing I know, she ends up renting a storefront, opens a place, and boom, she got counseling sessions going on. Now that's been going on for 19 years. And besides all of that, they do other things. When Katrina hit New Orleans, the New York City Fire Department sent hundreds of firefighters down to help. And when Hurricane Sandy hit New York, a lot of those firemen from New Orleans and even other cities wanted to come up here and help. Her organization put that all together. They had dozens and dozens of firemen from all over the country come, and they stayed in her place that was renovated into a firehouse. They built beds for these guys to sleep in. And they helped out during Hurricane Sandy. Now, when this pandemic's going on, obviously everything is shut down. But what is her organization doing? They're going to firehouses. They're bringing them food. They're giving them masks, gloves, whatever they can use. All these counseling therapy sessions have been going on, have now turned into Zoom sessions like this. They're adapting, they're helping out the firemen, the active guys, the retired guys. I mean, we are your first line of defense for terrorist attacks. We're your first line of defense for natural disasters. We're your first line of defense for a pandemic. And we're going to be your first line of defense for whatever the future holds. And we need help to do all of that, to stay mental and physically strong, to prepare for what's ever going to happen next. And Friends of Firefighters is an organization that helps in that regard. So, anybody out there, you want to know where your money's going, this is the organization that it's going to. And just one last thing, I've said this since day one, right after 9/11, we did a lot of praying, and we were asking God to help us out, and God sent us Nancy, and that was his way of helping us out. And we've been together ever since. I'm with Marion and with Steve and the whole organization. It's just, the work they do is unbelievable. So thank you for doing this tonight, and thank you for everybody out there who's going to donate.
Thank you, John. Wow.
John, so beautifully put. Kids, you're absolutely doing the Lord's work. Nancy, damn saint on earth. Thank you for providing. Thank you for thinking. Thank you for thinking to volunteer. Anyone who's out there watching tonight, you can open up your hearts, open up your wallets, but you could also do like Nancy did and literally devote your time, which is sometimes more important than give and loot. But anything that you could give the firefighters, the Friends of Firefighters are there to make sure that these folks who rescue us come to our aid in our darkest hour. We're coming to their aid when they need some help. So thank you, kids. Thank you so much for coming, taking the time to talk to us. Everybody say goodbye to Nancy, John, and Marion. They're going to be here watching, of course, all night long and stuff. Thank you, kids. You're doing the Lord's work.
Thank you.
Incredible. Look at you, man. You hang with good people, Steve.
I do. I'm very lucky. And I have to just say one thing about John Sorrentino. He was also in the movie King of Staten Island that I did with Judd Apatow and Pete Davidson, because Pete Davidson's dad was a firefighter, and his dad was very good friends with John. And so he just does all he can, and he's just all heart. And of course, Nancy and Marion, they're just the salt of the earth, and it's a privilege. It's an honor to be able to work with them and to be able to help provide for firefighters.
But they need the means, folks. So this is our call to action, Friends of Firefighters. We're putting on a show tonight. Yes, out of the kindness of a bunch of people's hearts, given time, but also we got a means to an end here. And the means to the end we're looking for is some loot. We want some donations, man. There's donations. Don't just, sometimes you can just donate, which is beautiful. Sometimes you donate and there's rewards, of course. Do you now, Steve, if I remember correctly, you got something that you want to throw up onto the auction boards, and where can they be going? I'm sure there's a link that folks can be clicking on and whatnot. But where, just in case they're listening, as opposed to saying, there's a website, of course, Friends of Firefighters, I'm sure, but we're driving towards our overall goal. So I'm sure there's places they can click all over the place, but what is the website, just in case?
Well, I mean, the website that they should go, if it's friendsoffirefighters.org. So that's that's the best place to go. But I'm sure, I don't know how this is set up, but hopefully the donations are still coming in. But we do have an auction item, and I'm very proud to show this to you as a director. I mean, I direct.
Please.
I direct sometimes, right? And I directed an episode. One of the episodes that I directed of The Sopranos was the Pine Barrens, and I was nominated for a DGA award.
The Pine Barrens episode.
Pine Barrens.
Those of us who grew up in New Jersey, like the whole show, of course, was amazing. But the Pine Barrens episode was somebody really taking it into the crotch of New Jersey. An astounding episode that I still in this house quote that line, "I lost my shoe," all the time. That Paulie Walnut said. So wait, you were nominated for directing the episode?
I was nominated for. Now, I didn't win, but I don't know if I lost. I think I have a lawsuit. Going. I've never conceded, and
yes,
it's still being litigated. There are votes that got lost. There is, I'm sure dead directors voted. All of that. So I'm still hoping for a win. But even though I have slept with this plaque under my pillow for 20 years, I have chronic neck.
Right.
I am willing to let it go for a good price, and we will sign it. I'll sign it, and all of the main players in the Pine Barrens episode will sign this plaque, and we'll send it to whoever thinks it's worthy to have this, and they would be helping Friends of Firefighters immensely. It's
look at that, folks. In case you don't know, that's what Steve has to show for his DGA nomination. Is that certificate, and any director would be proud to have it on the wall. Any director that gets nominated for awards. There are those of us who will never see one of those award nomination certificates, so I might get in on the bidding. So you can own a one-of-a-kind piece, and Steve's going to sign it, as well as the folks who are involved in.
We'll get everybody to sign it. Yeah. So
astounding, man. Good Lord. Let's check on some totals since we're talking about it right now. Some folks, Ocean Gypsy 808 gave $125. Thank you. Kathy and Peter Brown, $25. Thank you. Gina Sacco Wittig, $50. Thank you. Mr. Sam T. Thompson, $10. He says, love you guys. Great cause. You're my life. From Manchester, England, for heaven's sakes.
I love it. I love it.
How kind is that, man? And then, of course, in honor of Steve Buscemi, Robert Boylan said, in honor of Steve Buscemi, I was a volunteer firefighter in Caldenham, New York, and appreciate what you do. So there's money.
Yeah, people can donate money and dedicate it to their local firehouse, and I think that would be just a wonderful thing to do. And if we can, maybe we'll try and write it down and put it up on the screen too.
Yeah, folks, we will be trying to update you all the time. I think a duck just went past the screen alerting people that $500 was donated. We'll be letting you know all the time, and we're going to constantly reset and remind you folks that we need your money. Open up your wallets, open up your hearts to the Friends of Firefighters. That's what we're doing here tonight. And what we're doing here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is incredibly special. Earlier we had to do a tech test where everybody involved was in one room waiting, and they're all backstage ready to come out and play and stuff like that. And I'll be honest with you, when you're doing these on Zoom, you could put everybody up on the screen, or you could just put one person at a time. And it was so intimidating seeing all these legends, these New Jersey icons, these people who I spent more time with their family than I ever spent with my own family. That's how important these people were. I couldn't look at them all at once. It's a bevy of stars, ladies and gentlemen. You ain't seen this many Sopranos since The Sopranos ended, for heaven's sakes. And tonight, they've all come together on behalf of Steve and the Friends of Firefighters to sit around and chit-chat, reminisce, and then also do something extra special. You want to tell them what that is, Steve? Because this is amazing.
I will. So Terry Winter, who I met on The Sopranos, he wrote the Pine Barrens episode and many, many others. He also created Boardwalk Empire, and so I got to work with him on that. But he and David Chase, the creator of The Sopranos, they have written a sketch for all of us to do, and it's the first time that anything has been written, like a little mini Sopranos script sketch for all of us who are around. So we were just kind of blown away, and we're so excited to do it. And of course, we hope people enjoy it.
He is underplaying it, kids. This is the first brand new Sopranos material in I don't know how long. And we're actually going to hear them read it out loud. Winter's trying to blow it off as a skit. This is not a skit. This is not a drill. We're actually going to hear brand new Sopranos material spoken by Sopranos people, not just like you and your friends reading something out loud.
Yes.
We're actually going to hear from the folks, and I'm going to get to introduce them all right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very special night. So everybody, in case you're tuning in now or jumping in now, this is for the Friends of Firefighters. We're raising loot, ladies and gentlemen, tonight for a fantastic cause. And for that, Steve has brought together the family. And I'm going to bring them up here one by one and remind you who they are, as if you need any reminding whatsoever. Once we're all on stage, then we'll start chit-chatting and whatnot. But we've got so many people to get up here. Let's get it going. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor as a New Jersey born and bred resident and longtime fan of this show to be able to stand here shoulder to shoulder with the good folks that made The Sopranos happen for so many years. Let's bring them out. Welcome. She played Janice Soprano, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Aida Turturro.
Yeah.
She played Carmela Soprano, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Edie Falco. She played Meadow Soprano. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Jamie Lynn Sigler. This is crazy, man. This is nuts. Thank God. Again, I can't see everybody. Thank God. All I see is Buscemi. So that's the only way I can get through this. If I just keep looking at Buscemi, that's it. Otherwise, I'm too starstruck. Give it up for Anthony Soprano Jr. himself, ladies and gentlemen. Robert Eiler is with us.
Yeah.
She spoke before we started going, and I couldn't believe it. I got real quiet because I got starstruck. Playing Dr. Jennifer Melfi on the show, as we all know, ladies and gentlemen, the great Lorraine Bracco. This voice is to me as Jersey as it gets. It sounds like the voice of my childhood. Welcome, Christopher Maltzante, ladies and gentlemen. Christopher Maltzante himself, Michael Imperioli.
Yeah.
You may have just seen him on another program recently and whatnot. He's a jack of all trades. He spins a lot of plates. But we know him as Silvio Dante. Give it up for Stephen Van Zandt, ladies and gentlemen. Bobby Bacala. He's here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the great Steve Schrippa. My mom is going to kill me for saying this out loud, but we got big pussy in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Vinny Pastore is here. Give it up for Vinny Pastore.
Okay.
We got Furio Junta's with us, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Federico Castelluccio. Please tell me I did that right.
Enough.
Then we got, of course, back with us amongst the living. Spoilers. Adriana, ladies and gentlemen, is here. Drea de Matteo, welcome. Gabriella Dante, the wife of Silvio, ladies and gentlemen. Art Imitating Life, give it up for Maureen Van Zandt. And then, as previously mentioned, the writer, a longtime writer and executive producer on The Sopranos, but also the man who's giving you the first new Sopranos material we're going to hear tonight in a skit. He's going to try to downplay it, but give it up for Terrence Winter, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, everybody.
Oh.
See you guys.
And the director, he's also directed many episodes of the show, wrote on the show. Without this cat, you don't get a Sopranos the way we know it. He helped reinvent television. I would say fellow director, but he's way above my pay grade. Give it up for Tim Van Patten, ladies and gentlemen.
Bravo.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here.
There he is.
Be here, Steve.
Welcome to me.
Happy to be here.
Love it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, is that we got everybody? Is everybody in the room? Let me just make sure. Tyler, we got everybody? Are you kidding me?
Not everybody.
Is he here?
Bring them in.
Yesterday, I wasn't told whether or not we would have him or not. There's a chance we weren't going to have him, but he's here. The man without whom there is no Sopranos. The man who I'm sure has spent the last decade telling people, watch the episode. You'll understand what it meant when it ended. Give it up for the amazing man himself, Mr. David Chase.
Hey, David.
Hey.
Hey, David.
Let's start. We've got so many people to choose from. Let's start with David because baby daddy's here in the house. What's it like to see everybody together again?
Great. I don't know where we are or what we're doing, but it's great.
Then I'm gonna throw it out to the floor, and we'll do it melee style. So whoever wants to grab it, grab this one. Take us back to the beginning of the process. What was it like, or do you remember auditioning for The Sopranos? Everyone's got their mute buttons.
Okay, I'll talk.
Do it. Start, Aida. What was
Okay,
it
so
like?
I remember like I was friendly with Jimmy, and he's like, oh, he's like, I want to go over the scenes with you because I want you to get the part. And I had gone in once, and so now it's coming back for the callback. And I'm like, listen, Jimmy, I want it so badly, but let's not stress out, okay? So if I don't get it, you got to lend me my rent money, okay? That's what the deal was. But anyway, it was so scary. I went in there, and there was all these amazing actors, actresses. And I just was like, I did my best. And thank God I got it. So there you go.
You did tremendous. I remember loving and equally hating Janice. Sometimes I was like, I feel so bad for her. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, she's as bad as the rest of them.
She was.
It was, what about you, Edie? Do you remember how you got there?
Yeah, I was working on Oz at the time at HBO, and all my friends were talking about an audition they were going on for the show called Sopranos, which I thought was about singers, so I assumed I wouldn't be called in. And then I got a call. They needed me like the next day or something, so I didn't really have a ton of time to prepare much. I went in, I read the scenes. I was sure I would never get it. And then I went home, and I think it was like the next day I got called that I got it, and that with the paycheck from the pilot, I could pay off my student loan. Changed my life.
SUNY Purchase? Weren't you a SUNY Purchase kid?
That's I am. Are you?
No, but I was a huge Hal Hartley fan. That's one of the reasons that I got into The Sopranos was when I first, when I saw the first ad, I was like, oh my God, that's Edie Falco from all Hal Hartley's movies and stuff.
Right.
Then I saw, I was like, wait, it's like, I'll never forget watching the opening credits, the first episode I ever saw, and seeing the bridge in Harrison, New Jersey. And my heart leapt through my chest. I was like, oh my God, this is literally about where I grew up and stuff. But seeing you, a familiar face, led me to The Sopranos in the first place.
Oh, nice.
Jamie, do you remember? You're welcome. Jamie, do you remember what the audition process was like?
Yeah, I mean, I was a 16-year-old girl living on Long Island, so my accent was nice and strong. And it was a scene of Meadow arguing with her mother about wanting to go on a ski trip with her friends. And I was, very well versed in arguing with my mom and wanting to go places. But I didn't think I was, I'd never done any film or television. So I didn't think I would get it like everybody else. And, had a couple of series of callbacks and couldn't believe my luck and still can't to this day.
Awesome. What about you, Robert?
It's hard, man. I was 12 years old. It's so weird. I don't remember much, but what you said about what is it like seeing everybody? Some people said it was weird, and I didn't get that. I thought it was great. And then as soon as I went to the bathroom to pee, and I heard everyone's voice in my apartment while I was peeing in the background, I was like, "This is weird."
That was last.
You think it was weird for you? I was taking a leak and it was really weird for me, man. But it's crazy because, I spent.
He looked like Tony did, when he was 12.
He what?
And it went completely the other way. Yeah. When he was 12, you could say, "Oh yeah, that's Gandolfini's kid."
Lorraine, what about you? Do you remember auditioning for the show?
I remember meeting David and talking to him. And I brought up the fact that I would like to play Melfi. And I think he was a little taken back. And I said, I'm a very different woman today than I was when I did Goodfellas. And I'd like to play Melfi.
Lorraine,
you absolutely rushed it.
That's not what happened.
That's not what happened.
Right.
Tell us the real story. Tell us the real story, Mr. Chase.
We had lunch, and I heard already.
Lunch?
Yeah, we went out to lunch.
We did not.
I remember it well.
And we already decided that Carmela was not. We shouldn't do that. And I asked you if you wanted to do Melfi. Now maybe you had the same thing in your mind. And I remember saying to you, you're going to have to keep your hands in your lap. You said, "Oh, I could do that." Yeah. You don't remember that day?
I love you. You did not take me to lunch. I'm sorry.
What did she have, David? The artichoke salad?
The soup of the clam.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
But give a shit what we think anymore. I'm so happy I did Melfi, and I'm so happy I was part of this incredible ensemble piece of Americana history, TV history.
Yeah.
Beautifully put. Just a quick update. Mary gave us $2,500.
Wow.
She said, "Loved all
Mary.
the firefighters."
Mary. Thank you,
awesome,
Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, thank you, Mary.
Michael, Michael, do you remember auditioning for this show?
I did. I originally auditioned for Meadow, but I was too old. So then there was another part. There was Christopher. Well, he was actually Dean Maltzante in the original script. It was not Christopher. And then it was, thank God, changed to Christopher. But you know, I worked really hard on that audition, and I wasn't sure that David has a poker face, and I wasn't sure if I was getting through or if he was liking me. And I walked out of there thinking I bored the hell out of him. And then the next thing I knew, I was going to LA to audition. So it was, maybe I did. I don't know. You never know when you audition. People say they love you and then you never hear from them again. And,
What happened to LA? You mean to HBO?
Yeah, for the test. There was the test.
Can we just take a second, Drea? Shut up, Skittles. Drea, can you say Dean like you would do Christopher?
That never would have worked, Terry.
That's
Dean. Maybe.
You can stretch it out to about 8 syllables.
No.
Yep.
You gotta be Jerry Lewis. You gotta be Jerry Lewis to do that right.
Steven, do you remember? Steven, do you remember the audition process?
I certainly. Oh, me or Mr. Buscemi?
No, you.
Mr. Buscemi. Mr. Buscemi was a star already. I certainly do. Yeah, we had lunch, and I also went down and read the scene, and then we were just talking. I don't know if it was that day or the next day at lunch, and I said, David, this is a terrific script, and I grew up in an Italian family. I'm 100% Italian, and I got a lot of Italian friends. I said, I don't know about this mother thing. The mother doesn't seem. It doesn't seem real to me. I've never seen a mother like this. All the Italian families that I've ever been in, and my own Italian family, my Italian grandmother. I don't know if this mother's going to be believable. And he says, "That's my mother."
Oh man!
And I had many thoughts going through my head at that point. First of which was, you blew that gig, that's over. And I thought, oh my God, that's your real mother. I felt like, this guy really turned out to be 100%, he could have been a serial killer, growing up like that. But he turned out to be a genius writer, lucky for us.
Amen. Yeah, I remember watching my first episode and identifying Tony's mom with my grandmother in many ways, where I was like, oh, she's sweet like her, and she's like got a mean streak like her as well. I recognized that character right away, Mr. Chase. Well done.
Well, a lot of people did. A lot of people said it's like my aunt, it's like my grandmother.
Yeah.
Got all kinds of mail about that.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's jump over to Schrippa, man. Schrippa, do you remember auditioning? Did you audition for Bobby?
Yeah, I auditioned in the second season. I came on the second episode. I originally auditioned for the role of Skip Lipari, an FBI agent that worked with Big Pussy a lot. And Georgianne Walker said, I don't see you as this. Long story short, I went to Silver Cup, and I was in the hallway, and there was like hundreds of people there. Not for that role, but just in general. And I remember asking a guy, I said, where do you sign in? And it was Terry Winter, and so he said in the back there. So I went in the room, I auditioned, and I saw him. There was about 15 people in there. Terry was in the room. I said, what do they do? Let the fucking actors stay afterwards? I didn't understand, And it turned out that he was in that episode, Terry. I don't know what you played. You played.
I played one of Melfi's patients.
Yes.
We had been auditioning actors for that role. It was a very small role, and David at one point just turned to me and said, "You want to do this?" And I said, "Yeah, okay." I mean, I've never acted before, and he said, apparently none of these people have either. So you have to go down and read the sides and come in and audition. Mm-hmm. And I did. And while I was down there, Steve happened to come up to me. So I went up and did my reading, and I got the role. And then I just sat back down in my chair as one of the producers. And then Steve came in and he did a double take when he saw me sitting at the table.
What did they do? Let you stay afterwards?
Yes.
But, I was living in Vegas at the time. And so I flew back that night. That night I got on the red eye. And when I woke up in the morning, I got the call that I had gotten it. So it was a good phone call.
Vinny, do you remember yours, your audition?
Tony Sirico, Dominic Chianese, and myself were called in by Georgiana Walken to read for David. And I don't know. I don't even think the character's name was Big Pussy at the time. I think it was Sal.
David, do you remember?
I thought it was Big Pussy from the beginning.
You did?
Because of that, so it must have been.
All right.
Maybe it was large vulva.
What was it?
First draft.
Yeah, that was the first draft.
Well, I went in and we went in. Yeah, we went in and David was there. And I did what I did, and I got a phone call a couple of weeks later that I was in. So I guess David liked what I did because I got the job on the first shot.
Had you done?
Well done, my friend.
Oh, you don't remember that, David?
Oh, Goodfellas?
All right, you probably saw 50 other people, and then they probably picked me.
Vinny, you didn't get lunch though, right?
Well, listen, it was Silver Cup, and I kind of scheduled my audition around with craft services. So
Okay, that's even better.
We always ate. Yeah, no, it was fun.
Got lunch.
Federico, do you remember auditioning for Furio?
He's frozen.
Federico is
very
shy.
Already paint a picture of
back.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. Federico, you back with
Am I
us?
still frozen? Okay.
You're back.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure, but all right. So I originally got called in for another role for Johnny Sack, and I knew I wasn't right for it. But my agent said, "Listen, they want to see you. Got a couple of auditions." Then I heard nothing, and then I saw who they got. I'm like, wow, that's who I imagined, like a John Gotti type. And that was Vince Curatola, by the way. So I was called in for Furio, maybe I would say about 8 months later, and so I read for Mary Clay Bolin at Georgianne Walken's office, and she shut the camera off. I remember her saying, "Federico, thank you." That was like a breath of fresh air. And so I'm like, I guess that's good, And so I got a call that night saying that I had to audition for the producers and the director, Tim Van Patten. And so I went into the room. Before I did that, though, I called a friend of mine, which was Aida Torturo. I said, Aida, I'm going to read for producers. She goes, Federico, that's great. But I have to tell you, it's one of the coldest rooms I've ever read for. And I really, and she goes, she says, absolutely. And I said, I feel that there's something at the end that I have to say, like in Italian. Or she goes, Federico, whatever you do, don't say a word. Just stick to the script. Don't say another word. And, so I went to the audition, and just like she said, just as cold. It's just the way you see David sitting there right now. He's like that. That's the way he was sitting on that couch. And I didn't even know who David was.
Too funny.
Hey man, I did the audition. I felt the room
in New York or something.
And then all of a sudden, I felt like the audition was really going well, and so I decided to do that ad lib at the end. I think I said something like "Sei fortunato che non dà già ammazzate, puttana." Boom. Anyway, I didn't get a call back for like 2.5 weeks, and I'm like, I'm saying to myself, I should have listened to Aida. I should have listened to Aida. And but what I found out was from Terry was that they were auditioning other people because I was one of the first guys that came in. So obviously, being on the other side of the fence now, I've been directing. So and you would know as well that you want all the choices that you can get, to just make your decision. So, and then my third and final audition was with reading with Jim Gandolfini, and we did the audition. I remember Vinny Pastore was working with him that night, and they walked into the room. Rumbling like that. And he sat in the back. I remember, just going through the audition, and then they gave me a cold reading, which every actor loves, as you know.
Yeah.
So the cold reading was, it said, it was for my character, Furio, Naples, Italy. And so I took a few minutes to do it because there was a lot of Italian to translate. And I guess, as they say, c'est la vie, right?
Look at that, man. And a legend's born. Drea, I grew up with like 1,000 Adrianas. Would you remember auditioning?
I do. I remember I auditioned twice, and it was for Christopher's Girlfriend on the pilot. But I remember David getting a message from my agent saying they didn't think you were Italian enough, because I also thought it was about Sopranos singers. So I went in there totally normal, not thinking anything about Queens. Had I known, I would have fucking turned it up. But I went in there normal. And so I read for like 3 different roles that day. I think I read for Tony's Gumar. I read the Russian girl. Like, I didn't even know how to do a Russian accent. I read for Michael's girlfriend, and I didn't get any of those. And David said something like, I think that you could play a good snooty Connecticut girl who turns Lorraine and James Gandolfini down in the restaurant. And I was so nervous when I played the part, because I was with Lorraine. I was freaking out, because to me, she was Karen. So I kept messing up my lines. I thought, wow, I'll never get called back for that. It was one line. And then I got called back for the series, and I was at my parents' house, and I was in Queens, and I get a phone call saying, we need you to come in about 20 minutes to read. And I said, I'm at my parents' house in Queens. I can't do that. And they were like, well, we're in Queens. And I was like, okay. So my mother was like, we're doing this. And she put me in the car. She pulled my nameplate, Adriana, diamonds out of the safe. She goes, you know what this show's about now. Put that fucking necklace on and go in there and turn everything into syllables. And I had one line, and it was ow. If it were for more lines, I probably never would have gotten it, and there would have been a longer process in hiring me and stuff. But it was one line. And according to Eileen Landress, she always says that's how you got the part, because you turned ow into 15 syllables. Is that true, David? I don't know.
Genius.
Yeah, that's true.
That's fantastic.
Ow! Yeah, ow!
My niece and my daughter were used to ow all the time, So when you did it, I thought, yeah, great.
Here's an Italian.
Maureen?
Yes, sir.
Last but not least, do you remember auditioning for this?
Very well. I remember I was at the wrap party for the first season, and George M. Walker came up to me and said, we need a new wife for Silvio, because he'd had a different wife in the first season. And would you like to come in and read? And I was like, well, that will never work out. That's an absolutely horrible idea, husband and wife working together. And then, I thought about it, and I thought, what the hell, I'll go in and do it. I went to her office. There were a lot of brunette, very Italian women sitting in the hallway, and I thought, I'm not getting this. And I went in and read, and I just thought I'll have fun with it because I'm never going to get it. Then I got called back, and my sister worked for Versace at the time, and I said, give me all of the most flashy New Jersey Italian princess clothing that you can. So I did, and I asked her, and it was a very, very daunting moment to go into that room and just look at everybody from the production team, and it was just really, really scary. And I think there were 4 of us at that time that had to get up and read it. We went up on this little platform thing. It was sort of like being on an executioner's platform or something. It was really weird. But the next day I got the call that I got it. So it was really the most shocking moment of my life, probably. One of them, anyway.
I think we owe an apology to every actor who ever auditioned on this show. I think it was like somewhere in the 2nd or 3rd season, Georgianne Walken said, you guys have to smile and stop eating in the middle of fucking auditions. I had like a tray of snacks. And I guess we were all like starving by the time we wouldn't start auditioning until 5 p.m. So actors would come in and would literally sit there eating like a power bar while people were trying to work. And I'm not an actor. I didn't know that was distracting. I'm very sorry. But she's like, yeah, it looks like you're not paying attention. I'm like, oh, sorry. Anyway,
You better be sorry.
So, but I hope once the auditions were passed and you guys were there, it got very friendly. So everybody was very happy. So you just had to get past that room.
Tim, you were there for many auditions, man. What was it like to watch TV history come together right in front of you?
Well, I was a 16-year-old girl from Long Island when I met David. And I mean, honestly, it was an audition for me to get the job as well. I'd done like 30 episodes of Touched by an Angel, and I don't to this day know why David hired me, to be honest. But I'm glad he did, because I learned everything I know from being around these writers and this cast and that crew, and it changed my life. Just to be a part of it. There's never been a show like it where everybody was so inclusive. And I think it was so instrumental in so many careers. And, we do owe that to David, and thank you, Chief. Thank you, David.
Now it can be told. The reason we had you, Alan Coulter, Alan Taylor, was because they wanted us to hire local people. They wanted local.
Thank you.
That's why you got in there.
Thank you.
It had nothing to do with your talent.
Nothing. We had a good, you told me you had just been doing drywall or something?
Yeah. I left that out, okay?
David, you've been in TV for a long time before The Sopranos happened. How long were you holding on to this before you tried to do it? Was it one of those stories of like, I had it for 20 years, or was this I walked in, pitched it, and suddenly Sopranos came to life?
No, it was my wife always said to me, you got to write about your mother because she's really funny. And she's so out there. You got to do it because, I dined out so many times on stories about my mother. So she said that, and I kept thinking about it. And then I was working with actually Robin Green, who was on the show for a while. And she said, you should do a show about your mother. And I thought, like what, a TV producer, his mother? I don't get it. And then I thought, well, it's got to be a tough guy. I don't know. I thought, well, maybe a mob guy. That was it.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah. And actually, the pilot script, her dialogue in that pilot script was actually all stuff my mother said. We were just quotes.
Now I'm going to go back and watch the show through the prism now, knowing that. While we got a second here, let's just shout out some folks who've given some loot, man. Anonymous, $3,000. Such an amazing cause. Love to see the family back together. Woo! New York Fire Sprinkler Contractors Association. This donation is coming for $5,000 from a supporter of the charity. Very nice. Ashley gave $2,000. She said The Sopranos will forever be a number one. God bless. Denise just gave $5,000. This is so wonderful. Good to see everybody. All of this is going to the Friends of Firefighters, kids. This is what we're gathering for today. And the folks who are donating money are also asking questions. So these are cats that gave loot. So I'm going to give their questions to you. Sylvie Morgan Brown from Brooklyn said, questions for Stevie. Why didn't the real boss of New Jersey ever make an appearance on the show, or at the very least have a song play in one of Tony's driving scenes? I guess Steve or David could answer that one. Anybody have any thoughts about where the boss was in all this?
Well, David will answer the musical question.
Yeah, he did a song, last song in the first season. I remember Steven said, make sure you want that song because you're only going to get once. You're only going to get it once. I said, oh, okay. And it worked. So.
We joked about, we talked about him coming on as my Italian brother, kind of like in Godfather 2 when Frankie Pantangeli's brother came to the into the hearing, And I don't know, and it never quite, you know, we never really, I never really seriously talked about it with David, you know, but it never happened. And I finally did it. I did it when I did Lilyhammer. I had Bruce do his acting debut, the very last episode of the end of Lilyhammer. We finally had him come in as my brother. He was the middle brother, and Tony Sirico was my older brother in that show. But we talked about it. But we should have done it. We should have had him in Sopranos.
Yeah.
Christopher quoted him.
David, am I misremembering this, David, or had you considered State Trooper for the opening title sequence at one point?
Probably, yeah. We tried a lot of songs. Yes, right. That's probably true.
Yeah, I thought I remembered you saying that.
You did do State Trooper, though, didn't you, David, in that episode?
In the last episode.
Yeah.
That's the song I was talking about, where Steve said, make sure you want it because you're only going to get one chance. And it worked out really good. It was great.
What did, just for our own edification, for those of us from the Garden State, was Bruce a big fan of the show in general, Steve?
Oh, yeah. We used to, you know, we were right after the first season, we were touring the entire time. And, you know, thankfully, and I'll forever be doubly grateful to David. He booked my scenes on days off of the tour. So we would have the videotape shipped out to the tour, and the entire band and all the crew, whoever was around, we would get a room in the hotel, and everybody would watch the show every week. You know, so everybody in the band was a big fan of the show. Right. You know, and then I would fly home every single day off and shoot my scenes. Did that for the whole time.
Hey, Stevie, I remember it was at the end of season 2, you guys were on tour and you invited the whole crew, cast and crew, to see the show at, I guess, in the Meadowlands. And after the show, we had this huge party backstage, and you know, we were all starstruck. I mean, you know, obviously there were people on our crew who were saying, I can't believe I got a Christmas card from Stevie Van Zandt. It's unbelievable. And then, so we're backstage and we're talking to you and Bruce and Max Weinberg, and we want to talk to them about the show, your show. And these guys are asking us and the actors and the crew people about our show, it blew everybody's minds that these guys were actually fans of all these people and people on our crew. We were like, it was just a surreal moment for everybody. It was just amazing. Obviously something we'll remember forever, but just so incredible to be asking about the music and then them saying, no, but tell us about doing the show, your show. That was really, really incredible.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting, Kevin, as that tour went on, that very first tour of the very first season, you know, you could see the two audiences merging. You know, at the very beginning of the tour, Bruce was introducing me, you know, and here he is, you know, from Sopranos, you know, and everybody would be like, what's that? You know, and then, you know, tepid applause, you know, and then by the end of the tour, you know, he'd say Sopranos, and then everybody would roar. So you could see the audience building and the two audiences merging, you know.
The first season, we were asked to be, the Yankees had won, and we were asked to be in the victory parade. Giuliani asked us to be in the victory parade, and we were in a convertible or something, you know, and people were just thronging every side of the street. And we'd come down the street and people would go, "Who are you?" And we'd go,
Whatever happened to that Giuliani guy?
I think he was killed in season 2, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
David, Kevin from Whitby has a question. I back this, I'll co-sign it. Was there ever a character that you regretted killing off after the fact?
Good question.
Oh, yeah. Probably most of them, I would say. I mean, Vinny's character for sure, Drea, yeah. I would say actually most of them. There was one I didn't care, but the rest of them, he got angry.
Danny
Grimaldi was such a regret. Yeah, Stevie's about to say it. You regret so much you made him a twin brother.
Oh, that's right.
That's Parisi, originally Philly Parisi.
That's right.
And David killed him and said, God, this guy, if I knew this guy was going to be such a good actor, I wouldn't have killed him. And I remember David said to me, he said, you can do this once per TV series. He has a twin brother. And he's his own twin brother. And I'm playing the twin brother card. And then Dan survived for the rest of the show.
Well, Dan, what was the brother's name?
Philly.
Yeah. In that scene that he did, he was doing this thing where he'd go, he's driving the car. And I thought, this is fucking great. And then he came on the show and I said, remember that thing? Never saw it again. So.
Good. David, Ricky Tranny, he's from Point Pleasant, New Jersey. He's got a relevant question to those of us from the Garden State. Why did you pick New Jersey as home for the crew? Why not New York?
He's from,
I come from New Jersey, and I was aware that there was a organized crime presence in like my neighborhood and suburbia, and I just wanted to do that. And we'd seen Little Italy 1,000 times in Brooklyn, and I just thought it would be different. So
I'll never forget seeing Fountains of Wayne in an episode and being like, "Oh my God, it's like a travelogue of my entire life." Thank you for capturing moments like that. Kids, Aaron from Texas has a question for everybody in the cast. So we'll go through and I'll shout you out so you can so it's not a melee. What, other than your character, what is your favorite character in the series? Let's start with you, Aida.
I have to go first? Oh, shit. Let's see. God, go gots. Tony.
Yeah.
Tony.
I co-sign that. Edie, what about you?
I kind of liked the one-legged Russian girl. What was her name?
Svetlana.
That was Svetlana.
Allah was her real name.
Allah Kaluka.
Yeah. She was effing amazing.
Ours is at Carmela House. We still talk about this move, which a horrifying move that if my wife ever does in the house, I'm like, don't Carmela that. Don't Carmela.
You know you're in trouble.
Yeah. Jamie, favorite character other than yours?
I'm watching the show right now for the first time in its entirety.
What's that like? What is that like?
It's a dream because I feel like so much time has passed. I can really enjoy it as an audience, and it's obviously incredible. So it's so hard to choose, but I think it's a tie between, for me, Carmela and Uncle Junior.
Uncle Junior.
Yes.
He was so funny. I didn't realize at the time how hilarious that role was.
He's not only is he funny, but he also has one of the most bittersweet moments in the entire show. In one of the last episodes, when he was like, "You were the boss of all of New Jersey," and he was like, "That sounds nice." Like just the guy that we saw, the powerful man, reduced to who he was. Oh, I'll never forget that. Robert, favorite character that's not yourself?
I was my least favorite character. I can tell you that. And I probably have to agree with Jamie that it would be Carmela, because watching Edie transform, every time I would see Carmela, I would know, like saying hello to Edie when we got to work. And then 30 minutes later, seeing her in the kitchen as Carmela it was crazy.
Lorraine?
Well, I mean, for me, it would be, the line of the century. I don't know who wrote it, but it was Uncle Junior line when he says, "I was one cunt hair away from being the boss in New Jersey." I mean, for me, that was, I thought, and I loved him. I think, knowing Dominic and then watching him be Uncle Junior, I loved watching him.
Beautiful. Michael?
Uncle Junior and Adriana, my two favorites. They're both equally great. Yeah. Uncle Junior had some of the best dialogue that was just very specific to him that nobody else could really get away with. And, Adriana, because we did a lot of great stuff together, and it was always amazing being on the opposite side of the line with her. So
beautiful. Steven, Mr. Van Zandt.
I'm a sucker for malaprops. I love Ray, who's Ray, right? Who did the malaprops, David?
Yeah,
Carmine. Carmine. I just I love that shtick. I always have, But I got to say though, the whole thing was a bit surreal to me. And the very first reading, it's like a circular table, it was kind of fun because it was the first thing I ever did also. And this was, it was kind of, a little bit surreal. Didn't quite, wasn't quite connecting. And I looked up across the table and there was Johnny Ola, and one of the major parts in Godfather 2. And for most of us who grew up in New Jersey or Italian American, from our age group, the Godfather 1 and 2 are something, religious. So I mean, at that moment, the whole thing became extremely real. It's like, I'm in a show with Johnny Ola. What a thrilling feeling that was. And so I loved him also. But
I loved on the show that you guys were such mob nerds that you didn't even refer to it as Godfather 1 and 2. It was just 1 and 2. Mr. Schrippa.
The one and only Paulie Walnuts is my favorite. The man is the man.
He lost his shoe.
There's not much of a difference, and he had some great lines. He did some great work. The wings are iconic. Him and Grandpa Munster are the only two people that it never took off like the Rachel on Friends, the wing. Paulie Walnut's my favorite character.
Vinny Pastore.
Well, I grew up running nightclubs, and I used to serve Michael Imperioli when he was like 13 years old. So I was really happy to see him
still alive
on The Sopranos. I was so proud of him. I watched everything that he did, and I know he picked up a lot of his vices from hanging around with me. So I was really, really impressed with Michael's work, and thank you, Michael, for being a part of my life. I love you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Michael, by the way, it was nice seeing you pop up in the Watchmen series and in a Sopranos-esque shout out even.
Yeah, with the eating calamari.
Yes, yeah. It was funny. Federico.
Yeah. I had so many favorites, but besides Tony Soprano, I loved some of the lines that he had. I'm the fucking motherfucker you got to fucking deal with, something like that, right? I don't know who wrote that one, but Richie Aprile was, for me, an incredible character. I mean, it's this 5'0", standing up to, a 6'2" barrel-chested Tony Soprano. And what incredible scenes that they had together as well. Yeah, so I would have to say, Richie Aprile, David Proval.
Excellent, Drea.
Man, I can't.
Did you get that, or did I freeze up?
There's no free.
We got it.
For me to pick one person, because from episode to episode, I had a different favorite. I'm gonna go with David Chase here. I'm gonna go with David because every choice he made to me was the most unbelievable fucking choice ever. And every nuance from every character that they all had to offer was, and of course, for me, Christopher is always, just cracks me up nonstop. The nuances of each character, and Proval too, just knocks my socks off. Joey Pants, Aida, and some of those. Even Johnny V. I can't. It's too many. It's Too many people, too many amazing actors.
Maureen, last but not least.
I've got to choose Olivia.
Yeah.
That Italian mother be so diabolical and so evil, and to see her played by Nancy Marchand, who I had only ever seen playing society women and very, very high class, and the way that she transformed herself was just so beautiful. And, just the one line, I wish the Lord would take me now. I had heard so many of my relatives say that, all the Italian women in my family say that. So when I heard her say that, she...
I remember seeing her in an 80s movie called From the Hip, where she was in charge of a law firm. And then the first time I saw her dressed as essentially my grandmother in The Sopranos, I was like, what range? David, he's not here to speak, of course, but can you speak to James Gandolfini, the great James Gandolfini? We turn to you, the most eloquent man in the bunch.
I am?
Yes.
Wow. He contains multitudes, that expression. I don't know what. I can't even describe it. I really can't. It's just too what? I said once that we were like brothers, and I really believe, even we didn't get along that well, but a lot of brothers don't either. So, God, he was great. I don't know what else to say. I can't.
Edie? Everybody spent a lot of time with him in the cast, but Edie, I imagine you probably spent the most time with him.
Yeah. My dog is barking. As I've said in the past, it's not that I didn't get along with Jim. I didn't know him very well. We didn't socialize. We didn't, so that when I looked at that face, he was just Tony. I only really, for the most part, I really just acted opposite him. And so my visual experience of him was just as my husband. So it made the acting experience so rich and textured. And he was very, very much like me in that we didn't talk a lot about stuff like, backstory or whatever. I know that's helpful for a lot of actors, but he would look at me like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I was like, you're in the right club here. Yeah. Nothing like.
He never protected himself. A lot of people say, I wouldn't do that. That's not my character. I don't. Never. He was just out there. He would do anything. It's not happily sometimes, but he did it, and he always did it great. It was amazing.
Captain. We're going to take a quick break for a second to talk about some amazing folks. Don't forget, also amazing folks, we're doing a fundraiser, ladies and gentlemen, for the Friends of Firefighters. And we got a video to show you after we're going to take this moment to remind you donations are still coming through. Hey, Terry Winter's wife just gave us $500. So
hey, thank you.
They're doing very well over at the Winter House.
200. Unbelievable.
The money keeps coming in, folks, and we appreciate it because it's for the Friends of Firefighters. We're going to look right now at a video about the impact that firefighters have during events that are cataclysmic, particularly Hurricane Sandy. Let's take a look at this. We'll come right back.
We're on a back deck on Beach 130th Street.
This disaster is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I honestly believe that this community being so heavily policed and fired, they saved a lot of the civilians here. I just can't believe some of the stories, hearing about the 3-month-old baby that a firefighter held over his head while he had chest-high water waves raging and fire raining down on them from the fires of the houses around them. People jumping out of their windows, neighbors on surfboards. This is cataclysmic. My concerns right now is getting the needed equipment, I think, to the families, number one, getting the families into a safe environment, then being there for them as they process the trauma that's happened. Everything's been taken from them. These are the people that save us, and now they need saving. It's our responsibility to be here for them. I think the hardest thing for a firefighter is to come to the realization that he or she needs help. I think in a way they perceive that as a weakness because they are the ones that go to help. They're the ones that people count on to save them. But over the years, they've become a little more comfortable with counseling. They've become a little more comfortable in trusting Friends of Firefighters. They know that everything that we work with them on is going to be confidential. It's firefighter to firefighter. There are so many levels to the needs. This is toxic water that came through here. There's sewage and oil. I didn't see any masks at all. Counseling services are necessary immediately and more so as we get further away from the event. We're getting a lot of calls from families that are desperate because they need housing, but they don't know where to go. And they don't know what schools to put their children in, and they have to do it right now. And yet they're still humble and they're helping each other. You know, you talk to somebody and they say, I'm fine, help my neighbor. You say, oh really, how's your house? Well, it's not standing anymore, but I'm okay. We have a thing in New York where we call them the bravest. They are the bravest. And they're all in it together, much like 9/11, they're all in it together. The one that says, I need help, that takes tremendous bravery too. So I'm always thrilled when the phone rings and it's a firefighter saying I need help because you know they're out there, you know they're hurting, their families are hurting. So when they say it's time to turn this around, it's such an honor to be there for them. It's such a privilege.
Give a plea for money or what? Do we have
you saw the video. You saw what the good work these folks are doing. For heaven's sakes, open your hearts, open your wallets. We're just about at $50,000 raised tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in the time we've been doing this. How amazing is that? We're all here because we all love Steve Buscemi, and Steve Buscemi loves firefighters and the Friends of Firefighters. Steve, at the top of this, for those who came in late, as they say, you made a very generous offer to put up a piece of yours. Can we talk about that? See that again?
Oh, sure. I know Tim Van Patten probably has about 20 of these, but I have one. My nomination for Pine Barrens from the DGA. And Terry was with me the night of my, and I won't say that I lost. I just didn't win. As I said, I'm not conceding.
More important things than winning, Steve.
But there's more. Well,
if I remember correctly, didn't Terrence Winter tell a story about you losing or not winning, shall we say?
I was sitting next to Steve at the table at the Directors Guild Awards, and we were very excited and, of course, hopeful that Steve would win, and we thought he had a great shot. Pine Barrens was a very pivotal episode in the show, and people loved it. And they came to Steve's award, and he took out his speech that was written on his piece of paper, and they said the nominees are yada yada yada, Paris Barclay for whatever he directed, and Steve Buscemi for Pine Barrens, and the winner is. And Steve started to stand up, and they said, Paris Barclay, and he sat right back down. he took his speech, and he did this.
Jackie Gleason's
A very pure Gleason moment. It was almost worth having him lose to see that, but it was so perfect. And of course, he handled it like the gentleman he is until later when he got drunk and then started cursing Paris Barclay up and down the Directors Guild. Now, that's not true. He rolled off his back like a duck and moved on, and apparently he went on to do other things.
But we will.
It is.
We will all sign this. We will all sign it. It'll be, and somebody could, keep it in their closet. So
you can own a one-of-a-kind souvenir from the best and then worst night of Steve Buscemi's life, ladies and gentlemen. Take this cursed totem from his house so he can get out from under this dark cloud.
Up until that night, I had never seen another man cry like that. It was, but I digress.
We are getting together tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Friends of Firefighters, with the Sopranos, all of them, almost everybody, the entire family. It's a big old family reunion. We are, of course, coming to the end of one of the worst years in recorded history. No better time to go live in the past than right now, man. And the past was so much better when this show was on the air. And let's be honest, I would much rather spend time with this family than some of my own family members. And speaking of which, we're going to introduce a few more kids, ladies and gentlemen. We had a room full of guests, folks who've been on The Sopranos. We're going to add a few more. Forgive me for pronunciations, but here we go. Playing Little Carmine. We talked about him before. It's Ray Abruzzo. Ray, you there? Playing Billy Leotardo. Chris Caldovino. Chris. Playing Little Paulie. Germani. Carl Capitordo. Did I get that right? Close enough. We mentioned it before. Patsy Parisi himself, Dan Grimaldi, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And Anthony Infante, Lou Martini Jr. Join us. Welcome to the room, kids. Look at all these people. Doesn't it look like some of the happiest memories of your TV watching life? And let's be honest, in a world where all we've been doing is streaming for the last year, I'm sure everybody gave Sopranos another turn and whatnot. So you're seeing these faces coming together for the first time in a long time on behalf of Steve Buscemi's favorite charity, Friends of Firefighters, ladies and gentlemen. A question, or many questions, of course, from the folks who've been donating large sums of money. And if you want, by the way, to own Steve Buscemi's DGA nomination notification, you go now and you throw up. It's not even a bid. You're not bidding against anybody else. One winner is going to take all. This thing's going to be signed by everybody who has worked on the Pine Barrens episode, who's involved tonight, and it's going for $10,000. We're looking for $10,000 for that one-of-a-kind haunted item from the house of Steve Buscemi, ladies and gentlemen. For everybody, and let's start with the new kids that just came into the room, so they get a chance to talk as well. Let's see. We got a question here. It says Chrissy Lawson from Stamford, Connecticut, who's donated money to our cause tonight, says, "Who is your favorite Sopranos villain?" Ray, let's start with you.
Well, aren't they? It's pretty much everybody on the show who wasn't a villain. Yeah, when we were in the green room, we were talking about David Proval. I mean, he had I knew David back from '83, but he had this ability. He's this little guy, but he's could just be so menacing and so scary from the get-go without saying a word, with those crazy lamps that he's got, and just there's something about him that just has that thing. So off the top of my head, that was he's a pretty scary, good villain. And you're completely opposite of who he is. It couldn't be.
Does anybody remember David in Mean Streets?
Oh, we all do.
I do.
Oh, yeah.
Totally different thing,
Yeah. It's so true. You mentioned something. Everybody in this cast here knows what the real people are like and how close or not they are to their characters. Most of us have watched the show, just assume like, well, that's got to be close to who they are. But you guys know the real people and know that's not the case. And there's got to be extra appreciation for somebody who's like, they're nothing like their character.
Right.
Everybody except Paulie. Everybody except Tony Sirico. The same guy, except
same dude.
So sweet in real life, generous, kind, but he's Paulie. I mean, we actually, David can attest to this. I mean, we would start to incorporate real personality traits from Tony Sirico and just incorporate them into Paulie because they were the same guy. The germaphobe, doting on his mom. I mean, all of that was taken just, you just have to take dictation and just write down what he said. That was the guy.
I think you guys did a little more than that.
Maybe.
Chris, what about you?
I would have to say Frank Vincent's character, Leotardo. He really was right on the money as far as his character. I thought he was very realistic in the way he played a gangster, and he was very intimidating, and he really was, and he was So I would go with Phil Leotardo, absolutely.
Nicely done. Carl, what about you? Your favorite Sopranos villain?
I got to tell you, David Proval really scared me on film. And then I ran into him at a function, one of the, some social function that we had. And I went over to him and I said, listen, you're incredible on the show. You really friggin' scare me. And he had that same face. He kept the face and he just said, good. No, he really is scary. I want to say something really quick about my uncle Paulie. The first time, David, you were trying different looks for little Paulie. It was before we started shooting, but I had just been hired. And I'm walking down the hallway, and they had me in a running suit and the hair in one silver streak, and the white sneakers and a pinky ring. And I'm walking down the hall, and I had not met Tony Sirico yet. And here he comes walking the other way in the same look. He was working that day. I was just being tested. And he comes coming down the hall, and he stops me, and he goes, hey, that's my look. And I said, no, that's because I'm little Paulie. I said, no, you're Paulie, and I'm little. And he said, oh, you mean like you're my mini me? Yeah. Okay. And then he was okay with it.
We almost, David, I don't know if you remember this, but we almost did a thing. I think you vetoed it at the last minute. And it's VETO, not VITO, which we have other vetoes on the show. We were going to do a thing, and when Paulie went to visit his mother, in the background in set dressing, there was a little photograph of some little kid who would be like a grandson or a nephew, and the kid had dark hair. And I asked David if we could put like wings on the kid's hair, like that was a family trait. And, like for people in the audience who might notice it, and then David's like, that might be a little Easter egg for fans. If you see that in the background in Paulie's mom's house. But,
David was like, you get away with that once in the whole series. Dan, who's your favorite Sopranos villain?
Well, David, of course, I believe I agree with Ray and with the call. I know David's. We worked together in 1978, but I thought Joey Pantaleone was an incredible villain, and if you know Joey in real life, I don't think he could pull off a lot of those things in real life, but he was incredible in his insane violence. I mean, he was just so violent. And Joey's such a really terrific actor. I know Joey for 30 years too. So to me, Joey's character was the scariest for me.
He was scary, and he was also the sexiest because he was a power bottom, if I remember correctly. Lou, who's your favorite Sopranos bad guy or girl?
Well, you guys stole my thunder already. I mean, both David and Joey. The most amazing thing about those guys is, like Joey Pants. Again, I know Joey Pants for a long, long time. Joey is the sweetest, most lovable guy when he walked into a room. First of all, he always walked into a room with two girls back in the day. That's what Joey Pants was known for. When he would come to a party, he didn't have one girl with him or three. It was always two for some reason. We don't know why. But he was one of those guys, he would light up the room. And to see him turn into this monster on Sopranos. I mean, he was just a monster of a guy in Sopranos. And same thing with David, with Richie's character, to see these guys who were such lovable guys, great guys that you know for many years, to become these monsters was an amazing thing to me. So I was just amazed by their performances, both of those guys. I mean, fantastic villains, fantastic.
Yeah. Speaking of villains, the opposite of that is good guys, and we got a bunch of good guys and girls who are tuning in and giving us a bunch of money just to give you an update and whatnot. Tiltify.com/+Sopranos/reunion is the site where you could donate, ladies and gentlemen. There's links all over, I'm sure. Right now, or at least this was 5:23, so 15 minutes ago, we were 50K had been broken, so we're probably over that right now.
All right.
Anonymous gave us another $1,000.
That was me.
Thank you. You, well done. Way to keep it anonymous, Frank. It's not anonymous if you tell us.
Oh, sure.
So right now we're at 52,000, ladies and gentlemen. Our goal is $100,000. I hate to be the heavy here, but look at all the people in this room. If you don't start giving, I'm sending every one of them to your fucking houses. Please, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me get my back. Let me get my back.
Yes. These cats, they're actors, but they're also, they could do other things as well. So yes, give as much as you can. We're $52,000 right now. Our goal is to hit 100,000 before all is said and done. Kids, I got another question for everybody. Well, it's not for everybody, but considering this show, for mostly everybody. Bill Kramer from New Jersey asks, for any cast member whose character was killed off, and very few of you were spared, how difficult was it to realize you wouldn't be along for the rest of the ride on this incredible series? Let's start with you, Drea.
I think for me, it might have been the most difficult because when David broke the news to me, he said, we're writing the ending two ways and no one's going to know how it ends till it airs. And we shot it two ways. And we, you know, I didn't really, I mean, I knew because I had already taken another job, but we didn't really know what it would look like. So there was a part of me that was in denial. Even when I started my next job, I was like, oh yeah, you never know. Until Stevie said, what do you think I was doing out there, shooting fucking squirrels?
Well, the hardest thing I think for a lot of the actors, when David would break the news about you're not being on the show anymore, David would say, everybody who's still going to be on The Sopranos next year, take one step forward. Not so fast, Drea. I know it's like cruel, like really unnecessarily mean, but you know, that's how David is.
Steve, you have a great story about David telling you, don't you? When you went off the show, you guys had lunch or something?
Oh yeah, Jesus.
With me?
Big Steve.
Yeah.
Well, because everybody says you don't want to get that call from David. You know, you don't want David to call you because that meant that you know. And then one day, and I had signed on for 2 seasons, and then one day I get a call from David. It's on a Sunday. I call him back. I go, is this the call? He says, hey, I'm just wondering, do you want to have lunch tomorrow? I'm like, sure. And I thought, okay, well, that was all right. Maybe I'm not going to die. Maybe he wants to talk to me about another project. Why do I always go? And then I was getting excited, like, hey, I'm going to do something else with Dave. And I go to the lunch, and the first thing he says is, yeah, we got to kill you. I don't know why. He says, I would have told you over the phone, but the last person I told over the phone got pissed off because I didn't tell him in person. I said, okay. But then we had a wonderful time.
Yeah. How funny.
Who else got killed? Michael, you got killed. What was that like?
Well, I was towards the end, so pretty much everybody was going to be done by then. So, I didn't really feel like, it was, it was only a couple of episodes after Christopher died that the show ended. So, it wasn't that, shocking.
You didn't. It wasn't like, oh, they're going to be doing it without me. They only had like 2 more episodes.
No, and I got I got paid for all the shows produced by that point in my contract, so it wasn't that.
Right, the most important thing of all.
The amazing thing, Michael, I don't know if you remember this, and this really speaks to where social media is today as opposed to 2007. The National Enquirer had pictures of Tony strangling Christopher in the Enquirer like 2 months before the show aired, and nobody picked up on it. It just disappeared. So we were freaking out because we were sure, the audience is going to be so ahead of this. And it just sort of came and went. And that was back in the days when people thought, it's in the Enquirer, it doesn't mean anything, it's probably something else. And that was they were exactly right. They were somebody on the set who took pictures. And if that were today, they would never be able to keep a secret. But Michael was, Christopher's death was way out there.
I didn't know that. Was it somebody on the crew took the pictures?
It was David Chase, as it turns out, trying to collect the money. They were not paying him enough. Amazing. You can't believe this stuff, but, it happens.
Well, I wanted to say before that guy that really didn't want to go was Al Sapienza. The first season. And I told him, and, at least once a day, he said, well, maybe he can go to Rutgers. And no. I don't think so. Every time I saw him, it was another idea. And I said, no, it has to happen. We had a read through, and he was miserable about the whole thing. We had a read through of that episode. So he's sitting there, and a bunch of people were there, and Sirico comes in there and sees him and goes, "Dat, dat, dat, dat,
I was hired as Philly, and I was going to be killed in the episode. And Alan Coulter was the director. And actually, I said to Alan, I said, can you miss? What if he misses? And Alan said to me, he said to me, Danny, getting killed on the show could be the best thing that ever happened to you. I said, all right, Alan, okay. And then David, I said, and of course, thanks to David's graciousness, I lived on for the rest of the show, which was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful gift.
I remember people.
One of the first. Go ahead. Go.
No, I was just going to say real quick. People would go around and say, if you ever get invited to lunch by David, you're in trouble. And the other thing, you're in trouble if makeup calls you and says, hey, this weekend we got to do a cast of your face.
One of the first big deaths on the show that was also like shocking to see a major character go was you, Vinny, was Big Pussy. So what was that like when you found out, like, I'm out of here?
Well, it wasn't great, but I was able to deal with it. David had called me between season 1 and season 2, and he said, we're all over the internet. Everybody wants to know where Pussy is. Because the last time you saw my character, it's when Paulie Walnuts was trying to shake me down at the skivets, And he said, we're going to make you the rat. And I said to David, I thought it was Badalucco. He says, no, it's you. I says, all right. He says, but David said this to me. He says, we're going to give you a good season. We're going to write you some good stuff. And I said, okay, David. And as an actor, you want to hear that stuff. And when I went to work season 2, the first episode, I had more lines. I kept pulling Jimmy over. Say, Jimmy, help me with this. Run this with me. And between Terry and David, and you guys wrote me a great second season. So I don't have any regrets out of that, man. Thank you, guys.
I mean, Vinny, you were only on the show for 2 years. And Vinny was only on the show for 2 years. And your character, what you did with that character was so popular. It's just, I mean, you're iconic. I mean, it's really, Big Pussy is like, everybody knows who you are. I mean, you did that. That was that season of just an unbelievable, heartbreaking, amazing scenes that you did.
Terry,
it's mostly the writing.
Of course it was the writing, but I saw that the first season we were shooting in Jersey City from my home, and then the background of my home was actually the cemetery in Jersey City. But when I saw season 2 that you guys built my home inside Silvercup, I said, something's going on. And then I knew they were going to write something. You guys to build my house there. Yeah. And then you also, folks, from Terry, if you remember, my first wife was a little heavy set, and my second wife was a beautiful young woman. What was that about?
Yes, that was all David Chet. Look, people work out. It happens.
Yeah. Tony became my second wife. She was one.
Folks, you're watching some wonderful history right here tonight as we see a bunch of gifted and insanely iconic actors who brought us one of the greatest television programs ever produced gathering tonight. Sit around, chit-chatting. You're getting to watch informal chit-chat. There is a price for that, ladies and gentlemen, and the price is we're trying to raise some money for Steve Buscemi's favorite charity, the Friends of Firefighters. Should be your favorite charity too. You can donate on Tiltify through the donate link on the Twitch or YouTube page you're watching right now. It'll be in the chat or below the screen. We have a one-of-a-kind plaque, which we talked about earlier. Steve Buscemi's DGA award nomination. Help him get it out of his house. $10,000, and you're going to walk with it. It's going to be signed by everything you see here, as they say in those commercials for kids. And we'll take donations of any kind, any sort, man. For $500, you could donate to get a copy of the script of the new scene that we're going to have a reading of tonight. The first new Sopranos material since the show went off the air, man, is a scene written. Winter keeps calling it a sketch, but it's a scene, ladies and gentlemen. It's legit. And the script for it, you could donate $500 and you get a copy of that script that they're going to read. It's going to be signed by one of the cast and crew members, man. There's only a limited amount. That's $500. But even if you got $20, you could do what Kyle McGuire did. Listen to this. He gave $20 and he gave this note to all the firefighters who put in the work to protect and rescue folks from coast to coast and beyond, from 9/11 to hurricanes, earthquakes, and tornadoes, from the cities to the heartland. You are important to everyone. I'm sure that person speaks for all of us, Kyle McGuire, as we salute our heroes, the firefighters, man. We're at about 54,000, I believe, if not more at this point. We're trying to get to 100,000. So open up your wallets, open up your hearts, ladies and gentlemen. I mean,
sure.
Meanwhile, go ahead. Sorry.
David, when
you
invited me to lunch.
Can't forget it. What?
I need to make this straight for everybody and for myself. Were you talking about the time we had breakfast at Patrick Roadhouse?
No. That was much later.
That was brunch.
It was in
lunch. Okay.
Hey, Kevin, let them know there's no amount too small, too big. Whatever you got, $5, $10, anything anyone could afford. We know these are bad times, but whatever you can do, it's for the right thing. Every dollar's going where it's supposed to the firefighters. That's what this is all about, why we're doing this. So don't be intimidated by big numbers. Just give what you can. Seriously, what you could afford, whatever it is.
Right. And we were told at the top of the show that there was no entrance fee. You'd have to buy a ticket. So a lot of people out there are watching the show, big Soprano fans. Like Schrippa said, if you got $5, $10, send it to us. We could use it.
Everything helps. No amount is too small, but we need a lot of them. We need a lot of donations. We got to kick this up. You're about to hear a kick-ass scene. I'm going to stop calling it a sketch. It's like won me over. This is a scene. This is a new Sopranos scene.
Practically a limited series.
I don't know.
We got another.
I don't know if we should even read the scene unless we get these donations. Come on, why are we here? Why are we here? We gotta get these donations up.
Yeah, don't see
Everything as you've seen, as you see, ladies and gentlemen, things have taken a dark turn where people are threatening you now for your money. 2020 could end no better way than being threatened by Sopranos.
Here's the deal. Everybody out there, do not go to Starbucks tomorrow. Put that $5 into the till here. Skip one day at Starbucks. Give it to Friends of Firefighters, and then on Sunday, go and do whatever you normally do. But that $5 from everybody out there watching will go a long, long way to helping the people who help us. Please, please. Thank you.
know there's a lot of people watching, and we love you for being fans of the
Somebody
Sopranos,
just donated
Firefighters. Whatever you can, anything. No amount is too small.
Oh, there we go. Anonymous, $15,000.
Wow. 15. Somebody just donated $15,000. That's somebody wants to hear that sketch, ladies and gentlemen. $15,000 large.
They don't even want the plaque. They don't even want to hear the suspense.
Well, because he knows that plaque is cursed. It belongs to losers.
Hey, Kevin, can we cut to that person live? Can we cut to that person live? You should see Tony Sirico's in his room right now with a baseball bat. We can cut to that person live.
Mark Tower,
good job, Sirico.
This is great, guys. Thank you.
Wow.
That's great.
So listen, how about this? In the spirit of the show that we all love and celebrate so much, we're going to hold this sketch hostage until we hit at least 70,000. I think we're like $1,000 away. So we hit 70.
Good move.
You'll get a reading, and then it'll be like the little rascals. If it's good, you pay as you exit. A little more. We got a video that we want to show you right now, ladies and gentlemen. The Friends of Firefighters are who we're raising the money for tonight on behalf of Steve Buscemi and whatnot. We've got a video we'd like to show you. Take a look, and then when we come back, it's going to be time to say goodbye to lots of folks and start the sketch as well. So take a look at this video. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dan Nigro, and I'm fire commissioner in New York City. 19 years ago, as all of you know, following 9/11, our fire department needed a lot of help. It was a terrible event for us, and Friends of Firefighters was born out of that, out of the kindness of Nancy Carbone and her staff. And they've sustained themselves for all these years. And here we are in 2020, which again has been a year like none other for the fire department. The number of calls, the number of deaths we've experienced, more than 5,000 of our members have themselves been stricken by COVID, and we're in the midst of a second wave right now. And it just shows how important help from others is, how important it was 19 years ago, and again, how important it is now. So we really appreciate the work of Friends of Firefighters. We really appreciate that what they do, what they show is true love, because they do something for others and expect nothing in return. So we must thank them for that. And now we'd like you to see this short film. Thank you very much.
It's always been clear to me that firefighters make sacrifices. And it's always been clear to me that their families do as well, because they let them out of the house every day to go to a very dangerous job. But it wasn't until 9/11 that I realized that they too could be vulnerable. And I think that if our first responders ask for help, it's our obligation to be there for them. The active firefighters right now are overwhelmingly younger. Over 80% of the firefighters today were not on the job on 9/11. So there's a shift, but the culture is steadfast. We're here for those firefighters who face danger every day, and we're here on their terms. So by that I mean, while we don't speak the 10 code, we certainly know the dangers of the job. We know they live by their calendar. Their calendar is the most difficult thing, I think, for families. So because we are confidential, because we are in an old firehouse, there's a comfort knowing that we're here and we're here just for them.
The reason that people are so comfortable around Friends of Firefighters and this environment is because it is a firehouse setting. You're speaking amongst your peers, and that's what Friends of Firefighters does. It gives you that friendly atmosphere. You don't feel like somebody's judging you. It's more along the lines of friends helping friends.
We have a breakfast every month. It's open to all active and retired firefighters and their families. It's just a great place to come down to. It's like being in the firehouse again, especially for the retired guys. They can meet a lot of people that they know or have crossed their paths during their fire career. And I love it. I think it's a great place, you know, chew the fat, just like the firehouse.
I think sometimes, you know, if you came up to someone and said, do you need help? You okay? You okay? You know, that male ego or whatever, like, yeah, I'm fine. But, you know, if you have a comfortable atmosphere and it's there if you want it, and that's pretty much how Nancy and Friends of Firefighters run their operation. And I think that works well.
Today I see a lot more brothers going for counseling just so that they can ease their own mind about what's going on, which is good. Well, gentlemen, I wasn't brought up that way in the fire department. I was brought up, you don't run downtown to the medical office and look for a couple of days off if you have to get off, because we didn't know any better.
Before 9/11, if you were a guy who was in therapy, you were weak, you couldn't take it, blah, 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 but that all changed after 9/11, and even today, we freely talk about it, that we've all gone to therapy, and I think it's a good thing now that it's out there. Guys still need it, and it's still there for them if they do need it.
I think that firefighters often don't know that they're experiencing trauma if they've been through something harrowing. And I've said this a lot, firefighters are great at helping other people. I mean, that's what they do. They're great at helping each other. They're not always adept at even knowing how to help themselves. So I think it's really important that they know that there's a place that they can come to where they will be respected, and I think they're even surprised by how much good it does them.
It actually takes strength to make the call to come in, because it's the unknown. And oftentimes it's easier to go with what's familiar, even if it's painful. It's familiar and it's therefore safe. And so it's such a privilege. I can't think of another word, to be a part in any small way of helping that firefighter through whatever difficulty he or she is having.
Thank you all for watching this. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for your concern, your love, and your caring. They mean so much to everyone in the New York City Fire Department. Stay safe and be well.
And we're back, I believe, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, man. It's the Sopranos family reunion. When I say family, I mean family with a capital F. We are sitting here raising money, as you saw in the video you just watched, for the Friends of Firefighters on behalf of Steve Buscemi. This is his shindig. If you've been sitting there like streaming The Sopranos all throughout this quarantine, like so many of us have revisited, this is a thrill. You turn off your HBO Max, suddenly turn this on, and look, it's happening in real life. Steve Buscemi is the man responsible for bringing everybody together on behalf of Friends of Firefighters. Just before we got an anonymous $15,000 donation, that was wonderful. That $15,000 donation, though, did not generously claim Steve's DGA certificate. Steve, hold it up so they can see that again.
It's quite weighty. It's like, it's like a real. It's got a nice frame.
It's got some girth to
out
it.
And just use the frame. It's very nice.
Kids, this is every director dreams about having one of these. I've been a director 26 years. I don't have one of those. Steve Buscemi, he don't care about directing. He's giving his away. You give him $10,000, he's going to sell you anything off his walls. That's how committed he is to the Friends of Firefighters. So in the spirit of that, $10,000 gets you that DGA certificate, one of a kind that was been hanging in Steve's house, and everybody's going to sign it. But I don't have a DGA certificate of my own to offer. So instead, what I'm going to throw up on the pile, and I mean throw up because nobody's going to want this, is next year in 2021, we're making a sequel to a movie we made many years ago called Mallrats. It's called Twilight of the Mallrats. So if you want to be in it, if you want to walk on role where you're in a scene with Jay and Silent Bob, I know a guy. I can talk to that guy. How about you donate $5,000 right now to the Friends of Firefighters? They'll let me know in the home office when that has happened. And then you could come join us when we go out to New Orleans next year and shoot a motion picture, man. It's a Kevin Smith picture, so nobody will ever see it, and it won't help your career, but you will be helping the good folks at Friends of Firefighters tonight and going forward into 2021. So that's out there. You could donate 10 grand. You can get this massive signed DGA win, well, near win. Look, a nomination's a win, let's be honest. Certificates signed by all the wonderful Sopranos here and whatnot. Or you can, get the booby prize of a walk-on in Twilight of the Mallrats, stand next to Jersey sub-legends, Jay and Silent Bob and whatnot. So there's plenty of chances to give, and we're asking you to give. Help us out with the Friends of Firefighters. Somebody will give me a current total what we're up to. I think we passed 70,000 at this point because that's the only way that we're allowed to go forward with this sketch. And we're about to, ladies and gentlemen. This is huge. We still have everybody who is with us. They're just not on stage right now. They're all backstage and whatnot. It's like one of those party scenes at the Soprano house where they have a barbecue and the whole fucking family's there and whatnot. Right now, we're just in like Tony's screening room, so there's only going to be a few of us for this very important scene, ladies and gentlemen. This is a sketch that Winter is like trying to downplay and be like, what? No, I wrote it on the back of a napkin, but this is history in the making, ladies and gentlemen. There ain't been no new Sopranos material since everything went black in that last episode. So, or snowy, depending on how you look at it. So basically, this will be brand new Sopranos material. And we're going to see some of the cast perform that scene right now. Mr. Winter, do you want to give us a bit of a setup, if you will? I might help you out in as much as there is a question here that may lead directly into it. John from Long Branch, who donated money, said, what was the one storyline that was never totally resolved that maybe you wish was resolved?
Gee, I can't think of one in particular, and I can't think of any that the audience ever asked about. Maybe, I know what it is, obviously. Carmela invested some money in season 2 using Motley Fool. I always wondered, did she make any money? Was that a good investment or not? But there might be some other stuff that people want to know, or a character that people haven't seen, and I don't know, maybe that question will be answered at some point. But anyway, yeah, David, Chase, and I obviously are huge fans of Friends of Firefighters, and decided as long as we're doing this, we have the whole cast together, wouldn't it be fun to write a sketch, including everybody? And we thought, well, what might that be? And obviously just reflecting our lives and the lives of everybody else out there. What might our cast members, had they been in an alternate universe where they are all healthy and happy, what might they have been doing during COVID? And maybe they were brought together for an online therapy session led by our beautiful Dr. Melfi. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in and introduce the sketch David and I wrote called Bada Bing, Bada Zoom. Get away, guys.
Bada Bing, Bada Zoom. That's wonderful. Tell us who's performing with us. Introduce your cast for this sketch, please.
You talking to me again?
Yeah, the characters. Who's at play here, and who's on it? Let's shout out our performers.
Of course, Dr. Melfi. We've got Tony B. We've got Janice Soprano Bacalieri, Carmela Soprano, Meadow Soprano, AJ Soprano, Christopher, Silvio and his lovely wife, Gabriella, Drea, Big Pussy, and Bobby Bacala, as well as Furio. And who knows? Stay tuned. Maybe a surprise or two.
This is incredible. This you're seeing it here live for the first time, ladies and gentlemen. We right now are at $74,000, 74.5. So we're almost at
79.
79.
We got another
It just went up.
Come on, guys.
Excellent. We just got another $5,000.
Yay!
79 grand. Look at that. It's amazing, man. So it looks like you're going to push us to our goal, kids. And I'm sure this scene is going to do it. Before we perform, actors respond very well to applause, ladies and gentlemen. Positive reinforcement. So give it up for the Sopranos. They're about to perform for us.
And nothing says I love you like money. So please donate.
Open your wallets, open your hearts. Here we go, kids. I'm just I have the honor of reading us in just to set the scene, and then I'm out. I'm going to be sitting like this, watching like everybody else. Here we go. Ready, folks? Interior, Melfi's office, day. Dr. Melfi leads an online therapy session. She looks into the camera, confused as she clicks her mouse, struggling to log on to Zoom.
Is this working? Hello? Where is am I muted? Hello? Can anybody hear me?
We hear you, Dr. Melfi. Thank you.
Oh, great. Good. Me and technology. Welcome, everyone. Well, first, let me congratulate you all for agreeing to participate in group therapy. Obviously, this has been a challenging year, what with COVID, the masks, the stay-at-home orders, and the faltering economy.
Yeah, thanks. I feel better already.
Bobby, I'm sorry, doctor. I'm actually the one who set this up. We won 4 hours of your time at the silent auction at my daughter's school right before the COVID hit.
4 fucking hours? Nobody told me that.
Still, language.
Before we go further, why don't we all introduce ourselves? Who'd like to start?
I'll go. Carmela Soprano. This is my son, Anthony Jr. My daughter is running late, apparently. Go ahead, Anthony. Introduce yourself.
You just did. Anthony Soprano Jr.
And tell her what you do.
Well, I trade cryptocurrencies online. You know, Bitcoin, Ethereum.
He does very well. He bought himself one of those giant gaming systems for his room. He barely comes out for meals.
How old are you, Anthony?
Sorry, I'm late. I had car trouble. I just can't get that parallel parking thing down.
Oh, they got cars that park themselves these days. Just a suggestion.
This is my daughter, Meadow. She is on a hiatus from medical school.
It's not a hiatus, Mom. I never went.
They said you are welcome to reapply.
No one said that. I've been a criminal defense lawyer for 9 years already.
So, Mr. Giunta?
Furio Giunta.
Giunta. Okay. And what is it you do?
What is it I do? My name is Salvatore Bumpasera. My friends call me Pussy.
Okay, you skipped.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Let's go back.
What is it you do?
No, Pussy. Salvatore, we're not ready to share. Okay, who else do we have?
That's me, Salvatore Bumpaseri. My friends call me Pussy.
Pussy?
Yeah. It's like, you grab them by the...
I see.
Tony Blundetto, former massage therapist. Now I'm a Reiki master.
What is Reiki exactly?
It's energy healing. You know, your hands don't actually touch the body, so you can send therapeutic energy even from long distances.
Maybe like through a computer.
No, like how the Holy Father stands on the balcony at the Vatican, sending blessings out into the crowd.
Something like that.
Yeah, but that's like a whole group of people.
Yeah, what if you send out the energy and electrocute the wrong person?
He's a master, Bobby. That would never happen.
It's complicated, okay, guys? I'll call you and explain.
Yeah, just send the info over the astral plane.
Let's continue, shall we? Who else do we have?
I'm Adriana Laserva, and this is Christopher Maltzante.
What'd I tell you about using real names, Adriana?
Oh, will you stop with that already? You're so freaking paranoid.
Yeah, you think the deep state feds ain't videotaping all this?
Oh, get over yourself. You're not that important, all right?
I spend hours online. I know what I'm talking about. Just ask Q.
Oh, you mean the guy from James Bond who makes all the gadgets?
Yeah, the pen with the knockout gas.
No. Q is a government operative. He's the guy who exposed Pizzagate, a global conspiracy run by the Democrats.
You had me at pizza.
Go ahead. Make fun.
Chrissy, the government couldn't organize a decent circle jerk. You think they can handle a global conspiracy? Come on.
Why don't you ask Jeffrey Epstein?
Okay, let's stay on track, okay? It's my understanding that you're all related somehow. Somehow.
Carmela, what were you going to say?
Ashton, yes, we are all related.
Like an extended family.
And what have been some of the challenges during the pandemic?
Well, we rarely get to see each other anymore. I mean, there's no dinners, no parties, no big family gatherings.
Challenges, Janice, not advantages. I'm kidding. For me, one of the hard parts is working from home.
If you consider playing with your electric trains working.
Yeah, when Neil Young bought Lionel, you were all, isn't that sweet? He rescued an iconic American company. But when I work on my layout, it's dog shit, right?
Work on your layout? You mean run your choo-choos?
Hey, you know what? Fuck you, Tony. Well, why don't you zap one of your massage clients a happy fucking ending?
Mr. Gunter, how about you? How's your work?
Yeah. For me, the COVID is good, you know. I make a fortune with the bootleg and appetizer.
It was understanding the restaurant business was suffering.
Which restaurant?
Where you sell the appetizers.
Appetizer? No. The end appetizer is to kill the germs when you put it on your hand.
He means
You know?
he means sanitizer, Dr. Malfi. And as his attorney, I'd like to clarify that when he says bootleg, he means off-brand.
Yeah.
Right. Mr. Bompensero? Very well, Pussy. How have things been for you during the last 9 months?
Well, honestly, I settled into this nice routine. You know, I get up in the morning, I get a little espresso, I walk around the neighborhood, and then I come back and I sell a lot of stuff on eBay.
Oh, is business good?
Well, that depends. Depends how early the Amazon driver, he dropped off his stuff across the hall.
Are you telling me you steal packages off of people's porches?
Don't answer that.
Well, at least now I know what happened to my Vitamix blender.
Oh, that was yours?
I'm wondering if any of you find yourselves drinking more or using any other forms of self-medication during the pandemic.
Do cannolis count?
If used to excess, sure.
Then, Bobby, you better call Jenny Craig. See if she get a 28-day program for you.
Shit, Sil. Do that.
You guys laugh, but those programs work. I've been sober for years.
Yeah, now he's only addicted to 4chan.
Before we continue, I see that we have a late arrival. Valerie, welcome. When we spoke on the phone, you said you left New Jersey after a hunting accident in the woods.
Yes, many people have been wondering what happened to me.
Would you like to tell us here now?
I would, but David Chase won't let me.
I see. Mr. Maltzante, are you okay?
Yeah, me? Yeah, I'm fine.
You, with the hat. I know you.
Me? No.
We met before. I'm positive.
Nah, you're confusing me with somebody else, pal.
Wait. I've got it.
Okay, look, I can explain, all right?
2016, right before the election. We met at the barbecue at Roger Stone's house.
What?
You were the one who told me about Hillary's emails.
Yeah, that's right. That was me. Yeah, I remember you now. Yeah.
I owe you, pal. I scored big points with President Putin.
All right, then. Glad you two reconnected. Is there anything else anyone would like to say?
Yeah, I got something. For all our complaining during this pandemic, there are people out there who still do their jobs no matter what, and they never complain.
Essential employees, first responders,
teachers,
nurses,
restaurant workers,
delivery people,
doctors,
police officers,
ambulance drivers,
our armed forces,
mail carriers,
government employees,
and of course, firefighters. This holiday season, let us join together to thank those people who go to work every day to keep us healthy, happy, and safe.
Salud.
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 Na zdrowie.
Good job, Terry.
Give it up for everybody.
David.
Thank you, everybody. That was great, guys. God, I hope that was half as much fun for everybody out in the audience as it was for me and Rachel here watching it. It's so great seeing you guys together again and just hearing whatever silly words we wrote said. It just brings back a flood of memories and just so great. Thank you all for doing that.
Woo!
Of course, Christopher was into QAnon. I didn't see that one coming. David, great pull.
That's
Let's
hysterical.
hear for Terry and David, huh? Right in that. That's very nice.
Thank you. That's very fun. Very fun to do that. Just typing those slug lines with all those character names in a script for the first time in 13, 14 years was the computer program came back and said, "Really?" Yeah, Sylvia. It's been really a privilege and a pleasure. Thank you.
Let's talk to the Russian, because this is a rare opportunity. Vitaly, did you ever think you'd be back?
Well, tell you, I never hoped for any movement after it was over. Not at all. You remember, Terry, you told me once, many years ago, we left windows for you. A window. Remember? after the party, whatever it was.
Right.
So the window just opened right now.
This is it. You didn't know it would be 13 years later in a fundraiser.
I had no idea.
Exactly.
No.
All right, Vitaly, you can cut the fake accent now.
I'll do my best.
You can use your regular accent now. You're some Hoboken, really.
You want me? I would speak with the really Russian accent. That's how it's really sound. When you go to the Brighton beach, you hear how the American sounds put in the Russian sounds. That's when I hear that, it screws my ear, technically.
So what you say, the Russians in Brighton Beach sound like American Russians?
Well, from Brighton Beach, of course.
Yeah. I actually went to high school in Brighton Beach.
Yeah, but you weren't from Brighton Beach, like from Russia, right?
No, that's well, I went in Brooklyn. Yeah, I went to high school right there in the late 70s. So right when the big wave of Russian immigration happened.
Right, there's more. Exactly, that's what I'm telling you. It's all the cliche.
Okay.
What a cliche. Like Russian, using Russian words, Russian sounds. I'll tell you first. I use Russian words and Russian sounds to pronounce that sentence. That will be pure, heavy Russian accent. It's funny, right? But most people, well, I can speak with that accent, but that might be Russian, which I'm not, probably after almost 30 years living here.
Right.
I bet I lost a couple of roles and parts in the movies because I wasn't to do that accent. It's really kind of, I have to concentrate on it. I do it easily.
So in order for you to do that accent, you have to put it on more heavily than you normally do.
I just have to use sounds which I trained when I was a kid in Russia. Forget about all sounds I pronounce now.
Right.
Pronounce all those sounds the way you hear me right now. It's gonna be exactly Russian freaking accent. I'm not faking it. I just do it with the pure Russian accent based on Russian sounds, not the American sounds. See, it's very easy. Some people who weren't through this process, they don't even bother to try to say like softer, nicer, deeper, throat sounds. Most Russian here on front. It's like French. You speak.
If you're tuning in now, like you're not only did you miss a wonderful sketch, we're learning remedial Russian accents, ladies and gentlemen, and that's
you better not. You better not. You will not read of it after all.
Vitaly, let me ask you this question. Yes. Over the years, have people recognized you as the Russian from the Pine Barrens?
Yeah, they always know me as a Russian from a Pine Barrens. Nobody knows my name. Nobody even remembers the name I play in the character.
I do.
Oh, how come? They still remember. No, what I'm saying, that's kind of, it's weird. It's still weird. Kind of people look at you, come into you, and we know who you are. I say, I know who I am, yeah.
Steve, somebody just donated $10,000 for Vitaly. Did you guys see that?
That's right. Vitaly. Anonymous just gave us $10,000 for the
Thank you, Anonymous.
My favorite actor, Steve Buscemi. So, Vitaly, you brought money into this, man.
Thank you, Vitaly.
I'm really glad I did any useful thing for Sopranos.
Now, right?
Because Sopranos was a miracle for me. I'm not supposed to be there. When I read the role, it was like 23 years old, right? Something like that. The script was for 23 years old.
It was younger.
It was kind of much younger than I was.
Right.
I know it was a couple of guys already aimed to be like on hold. It was last moment when I was booked. So I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm glad, super glad to work with all of you.
Vitaly, we had auditioned a few other people, but when you walked in the room, as soon as you walked out, we said, "Well, that's over. That's him." And it didn't matter.
See what you done to me. I tell you even worse. I went to the subway and I was going to HB Studio for the American speech classes. And next day, I was already booked for stand-in for some movie. Right? I went out of the subway on 12th Street. Close to the Bank Street, where HB Studios. And the phone rang. And I've been told, you booked. And the production called me directly, which not supposed to happen because tomorrow's supposed to be a reading. And my manager called me late. I said, I know already. See, it was everything upside down. And I said, I can't go to the reading. I already signed for the stadium. Well, come when you can. I came day after, but I was totally out of reality.
Right. How are the American speech classes going?
I forgot about that. After that call, I forgot about speech classes.
Yeah, you get fine. I get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to jump in here just to let you know we are $8,000 away from our $100,000. Thank you, everyone who's been giving money. Apparently they like the sketch. You guys might have to do some more of this Sopranos stuff. There's money in it still. We're now almost we're $8,000 away from 100K, ladies and gentlemen. Well done. All for the Friends of Firefighters.
Everybody I know who's watching, who grew up with me in Brooklyn, and you know who you are, reach into your pockets, you fucking skinflints, and fucking up some money.
That's very nice.
I know how many firefighters that we know and Chris Caldovino knows, and I don't want to stop. I'm going to start naming names. Don't make me do it, but come on. You know you're out there. Come on. Spend a little money. Donate.
Somebody spent that $10,000 and actually bought Steve Buscemi's DGA nomination certificate, man. So somebody put up the 10K. Steve, you're going to have to part with that. Is there anything else hanging on your walls you want to sell?
Does anybody want a stapler? This was the stapler I used to staple together the scene that I sent to David. $100. Amazing.
A historic stapler, ladies and gentlemen. A historic stapler. First stapler used to do a Sopranos anything, and who knows how long. We got to take this opportunity right here to thank all the cast members who joined us for the Q&A, for the reading of the sketch, all of you legendary folks who took the time over the holidays to give to the Friends of Firefighters, man, on behalf of our beloved Steve Buscemi. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for sharing your memories. Thank you all for sharing your art. I'm not being facetious when I say in this time when we can't all be with others, watching The Sopranos and watching family, even that killer murderous family, gather together for barbecues and whatnot has been a warm, happy place for me. A reminder that there's something we could eventually get back to when we're in the clear, and also a reminder not to trust anybody in the fucking world, especially killer mother and stuff like that. So thank you so much for all the great work, all the very many happy memories. I was just thinking before when Schrippa was talking, the moment when Tony's just like, she was blowing roadies, and you're like, roadies now? And he's like, oh, you don't want to know. Shit like that lives in my head and heart and comes out at the weirdest time. So thank you all for taking the words provided by Winter, Chase, and et al. And bringing that family to life, because it's an extension of all of our families. Thank you all to the cast so much.
Thank you, Kevin, for your time, and you did an amazing job. We're all
Thank you, Kevin.
Yours as well. I'm going to go on record. I don't know how to donate, but I'm going to donate the money to be in your movie. So I'll be there in New Orleans. Absolutely. So how much was
You could have done it for free, Winter. You could have got it for
let him pay. Let him pay. Let him pay. He could afford it.
I'm paying the $5,000.
He's got that Sopranos money, man.
That much closer to where we need to be. And I have a couple of ideas, though. I want to try a couple of things in the scene, if that's okay. So great. Perfect.
Hey, we hit 100K, guys.
We're over 100.
We hit 100.
100.
Wow.
I'll see you in New Orleans.
Wow.
I'll see you there in New Orleans for sure. Thank you for your generosity. Ladies and gentlemen, we just hit $100,000. Anonymous donation of $8,000.
Thank you, everybody out there.
Hit our goal.
All of you guys for being part of this.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Hanukkah.
Let's have a way less interesting 2021. We go back to boring. Thank you, guys. Love you all.
Thank you, everybody. Happy holidays. Bye, everyone, guys.
Bye. Love you. Great to be together.
Bye.
From the officers and members of Engine 160 Rescue 5 and Division 8, we thank you very much. Thank you very much.
The officers and members of Engine 55 in Little Italy, thank you for your support.
Grazie. Hi, my name is Mario Polite, a 21-year veteran with the FDNY. I'm a lieutenant in Engine 268, Ladder 137 in Rockaway, Queens. I just want to give a big shout out to Nancy and her team at Friends of Firefighters Foundation for the tremendous work that they do each and every year. Please donate to this incredible cause. Be safe and God bless.
What's going on, Friends of Firefighters? Thank you very much from Ladder 38, Engine 88, up in the Bronx and the Belmont section. Appreciate your dedication and support throughout all the years. Thank you very much.
From the officers and members of FDNY Rescue Company Number 2, we would like to thank you for your continued support.
Hey everybody, thank you for your support and happy holidays. From the Fire Factory.
How about that? Wasn't that touching, man? It was beautiful.
Kevin, you were great. Thank you.
Like
thank you.
Oh my God, you guys are sweet. Whole night was fantastic. But we wouldn't have had this night without the folks you're seeing right here, of course. Nancy, for getting this whole thing started. John, Marion, thank you for being here. We hit 100K. I feel like together, we could once we take care of the firefighters, good Lord, let's balance the budget. Apparently we can do a lot of great things together. Look at what we're able to do. Live by the example of Nancy, folks. Somebody who just walked in and said, hey, what can I do? And it started with some bunting and it's turned into this, $100,000, man. But none of it happens, of course, tonight. We wouldn't have had that special reading. We wouldn't have seen all those amazing friends and family that we love from television, people that we love sometimes more than our own family, were it not for the great Steve Buscemi. Steve, you had a vision and you did it. You pulled it off tonight, man. Congratulations.
How great was it to hear all of their voices? Like, we've been listening to their voice, hear them talk. And then when they slip into character, it's a funny sketch, but it was also very moving to me. Just to hear their voices, hear those characters come to life again, and to know that they're all here in support of Friends of Firefighters. Thank you, Kevin, for for talking about me, but it's Nancy. It's Nancy, it's Marion, it's John, it's all the people who every day are working for Friends of Firefighters.
You too, Steve.
And the firefighters themselves.
Yeah, and let's put the attention towards them. They drove this whole thing. And let's not forget those who are suffering from cancers related to 9/11 and thereafter. It's a dangerous job, and we need to be there for them. And let's remember Tony Catapano and Billy Hodgins, who we just lost. They were my guides.
Amen to that.
Without them, it wouldn't have happened.
Greater souls than mine, for absolutely sure. Thank you to all the firefighters out there who put your lives on the line, put your mental health on the line, also the rest of us can go about somewhat normal lives and whatnot. Hopefully tonight you've seen the affection that the public, that the world has for you. Everyone opened up their hearts and their wallets and whatnot, as we said. Everybody loves a fireman, a firewoman, firefighter. And boy, we got to see that love in full display this evening. And through the most ironic channel of all, the mob. Kind of crazy, but absolutely wonderful. Please keep supporting, folks. We hit our $100,000 goal, but we're not done. That doesn't mean we shut down or anything. Please keep donating. There are links, of course, all over. Or as Steve told us before, you can go to friendsoffirefighters.org. Is that it?
Yeah. That is it. Make sure it's org and not com.
Yes.
But it's .org. Yeah.
And you can still donate through this campaign as well when the event is over.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What we're doing.
Yeah, yes, and it's it goes right to helping the members and their families. So thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you. You did a wonderful job.
Great. Thank you.
You're so sweet. I'll tell you, I told Nancy before at one point when I spoke to her earlier today. I was like, oh, there's a thing I got to do tonight, and I was nervous because there's a lot of I get nervous around famous people that I respect. So people that I'm like, oh, I love their work and stuff. And then I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to pull this off. And then when I spoke with Nancy today, and she talked about the good work they do, and then she put it in those plain terms, which I'll never forget. We help one firefighter, one person, one firefighter. We've helped 10, 20 people. The trickle down is enormous. And when you said that, my heart leapt, and I was like, we're doing some good work tonight. This ain't going to be not just fun. I don't have to be nervous because we're doing some wonderful work for some wonderful people. And Nancy, that came from you. So thank you for that.
I never did it alone. So please, let's Marion, John, Tony Cat, Billy, Pete Classione, Kenny Pogan, there's Stephanie Cherry. We have a whole crew here. So it's not me. It's everybody. And Steve, couldn't do it without you, Steve. Yeah. So thank you. Terry Winter, Timmy Van Patten, David, thank you. Everybody was wonderful. The cast was wonderful. And I've had 3 hot toddies. How about you guys?
I honestly, I'm going to smoke a huge joint because what a successful thing this was. I'm so delighted. I didn't want to do it. Normally I'd handle my high, but I was like, I don't want to mess anything up tonight. So I've been completely straight for this. Now I'm going to.
Oh, you did a great job.
Enjoy.
Cheers to you all. Cheers to everybody out there.
Cheers. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who donated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Friends of Firefighters, ladies and gentlemen. We all want to be that. Everyone out there, be a friend of a firefighter. Donate any bit that you can. Thank you so much to all these wonderful people. Thank you to all the wonderful people who watched. Thank you for the people that gave. Doesn't matter if you gave $15,000 or $20, but we appreciated it on either end, man. Thank you all so much in this season of giving. We didn't know what it was going to look like heading into the event. Thank you for letting us reach our goal. It means the world. For the Sopranos family reunion, on behalf of Friends of Firefighters, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for being here. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Watch our web.
When Nancy first started to go around right after 9/11, the very next day, which was September 12th, she came to our firehouse.
I was just helping the firehouses in my community, and over time we built friendships, and they asked if I would be able to help them develop a counseling place outside of the fire department.
And asked us if we needed anything.
At the time I had 5 friends that survived. Part went to the surviving firefighters and their families.
We lost 7 guys. We didn't know then and there that we lost them completely. We thought they were just trapped.
We were good that day, and what happened was we did our best, but at the same time we had the responsibility of the firefighters' families to take care of. For a lot of us, including myself, that was very stressful.
I've seen brothers come in here that really need help, and within a few months leave here in way better condition than when they first came in.
That time in my life, I was in a really bad spot. I was in a dark spot in my life that I didn't think, if I didn't change the way I was living, I couldn't tell you what I was going to do. I had to have something.
Guys were feeling down, and they felt like they couldn't help anybody. Meanwhile, they had to help themselves first. You can't help anybody else unless you help yourself first. We've got counseling upstairs every day of the week, and if we have to, we'll go to see the person.
I needed this place.
When I came here, there were a lot of my kind in here, and we shared stories and what we did, and what we still continue doing because of Nancy.
I didn't understand the point of volunteering, and once you come here, you understand, and it becomes easy to do that.
Firefighters feel comfortable in a firehouse.
It also allows us to feel back at home again.
Firefighting is a difficult thing to explain to people. We look to go to fires only because when we go to fires, we save property and lives. Every fire, when you go to, there is some kind of post-traumatic syndrome. It's like a war. It's a war. It's a war against fire. It's the same thing that soldiers are going through.
The fact that they keep coming says that we are successful. I think because we are separated from the fire department and there's no trace, they can come for counseling and their families can come for counseling, and it doesn't end up in their records. I think that means a lot to firefighters.
Before the problem gets bigger, we like to solve it. And that's why they do the same thing. That's why they're coming in. They're coming in before the problem gets beyond their control.
Our formula was that if you get one firefighter on his or her feet, you're going to help 10 civilians, so that they're going to go out and help other people. So if you're helping one person, that's huge. We had over 700 active firefighters and over 1,200 retirees either lose their homes or have significant damage.
I was able to see military men in their bunks getting ready to go out and help.
And we set up bunk beds once this place was cleaned out. And we had 14 bunk beds set up, and they came in groups, and we sent them out into the field.
Firefighters from all over the world with a positive attitude coming here, feeling like this is their home, a home away from home, and putting in 100%. I mean, you can't buy those memories.
Now it's 13 years later, and we're still in existence. A lot of other organizations folded.
What we have here works, and the firefighters built it. As long as they need the help, I believe it's the public's responsibility, and I consider myself the public, to provide the help on their terms, and this place does that.
You just don't have a place for people to come that doesn't cost anything.
To me, this place is a blessing.
I need this place, and this place needs donations.
This place is a little part of me. The wording Friends of Firefighters, I think, are hand-picked.
Friends of Firefighters is awesome.
The words say it all.
Friends of Firefighters is phenomenal.
Every time I come in here, I see magic.
I think that for firefighters, Friends of Firefighters is home.